and Heilbronn takes the green flag, and endurance at FSG 2016 is go. Car from Heilbronn is a tubular steel space frame chassis and a single-cylinder Husqvarna TE510 engine. This is the first dynamic event that we've seen them in. They were in the line to join the autocross at the end of yesterday, but didn't quite make it on track.
So meanwhile, Cairo has fired up and are approaching the starting line at this moment. So let's see whether they can also get in some clean laps.
Heilbronn's run looking good so far. They're about halfway through their first lap.
Yeah, about the Indian teams that were asked about earlier. I would have actually expected the guys from Chennai, who did some running yesterday, to be in line right now. They are clear to go, as they are one of the first 33 teams. Also on the list are the guys from Manipal and Vellore, who are also among the first 33, but they're a bit further down the list as compared to the likes of Heilbronn and Cairo. We should be seeing them pretty soon, though.
So while Heilbronn is approaching the horseshoe corner, maybe it's a good idea to tell a little bit about the layout of the track. It is quite similar to the autocross track which we have seen on yesterday. The only difference is, of course, that's now a full circle, so cars can make actual laps. Standard elements include fast corners, slow corners, overtaking lanes, indicated with the blue cones for all the spectators and guests on the grandstands, and marked with the orange cones. There is, I think, one, maybe two slaloms. There's, I think, one, Thijs, is that correct?
Yep, there's one in the middle. I think in the American tracks there tend to be slightly longer and multiple slaloms every now and then. In Germany it's just one with I think 4 cones in total.
Yeah, so also a standard element can include bus stops, as they are called, quite sharp 90 degrees corners. Do we also see them on this track here today, Thijs?
I guess not in the most standard form, but of course the instances where there's a very sharp left corner and a very sharp right corner right afterwards. They are there, such as the section where the Heilbronn car is going through right now. The section they enter right now is what we call the wings section. It's a pretty fast section where teams that have a lot of downforce should definitely be able to see some advantage over teams that do not quite have the amount of downforce.
Yeah, also there's a section on the track on the map marked with pendulum. It's quite a transient behavior section. It features a couple of following right and left hand turns, a little bit not too sharp. What can you tell about the car's behavior in that pendulum section?
Well, the tricky part about that is that the car is never stable, never sort of steady state. There's a couple of corners in quick succession and they become sharper as you progress through them. So it's definitely a very tricky part, not just for the car but for the driver as well. As we hear the Heilbronn car blasting past. We're doing pretty well so far. It's probably a good time to explain what the overtaking lanes are for. So what we never do in, first of all, here we see the Cairo car 236, and they have gotten the green flag and they are underway.
A little bit of a hesitant start from the Cairo team, so let's see if they can pick up the pace now when they enter a little bit more straight section.
The driver has one hand on the steering wheel, one on the shifter.
He's taking it very steadily as he begins the lap. Now's probably a good time to mention the passing zones on the course. Since it is not actually a race, you can't pass anywhere. You've got to wait until the car you're trying to get past pulls into one of the designated passing zones, which is indicated by the blue cones.
Yep, wheel-to-wheel racing is explicitly forbidden. Drivers are advised to always keep some distance. Not all of them do this, but that is definitely mentioned in the driver briefing. You should always wait for the car in front of you to get a blue flag, and then you can overtake. Of course, this race is actually an individual race for every single car against the clock, and then at the end of the day we will see where we end up.
So meanwhile, the Heilbronn driver is really learning the track. You can see that he's now crossing the line and again improving his time by 6 seconds. So the first lap of Heilbronn was a 1:03. Now already his third lap was a 93 seconds. So a 10-second improvement over 2 laps. So this is maybe a good thing to talk about a little bit about the drivability of these cars. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, definitely. It's a very important aspect is how easy the cars are to control, because as we know, these are not professional drivers. They're students. They've got varying levels of experience. But if the teams can make the cars more easy to drive, the drivers can be more consistent and safer and hit less cones and ultimately finish with a better score.
So meanwhile, the Brooks car is firing up. So always a big challenge between the UK teams. Let's see if the top UK team here can also get a fast time in.
I think right now the Cairo car has covered more distance than they have yesterday, so doing pretty well so far. Unfortunately, the Heilbronn car is catching up very quickly as the Cairo car takes out a cone and yellow flags are being waved because it is quite slow. The Heilbronn driver has to be very careful here. The next overtaking lane is actually quite far up ahead the track. Of course, this can be one of the results for a team like Heilbronn if they did not get any running before.
Yeah, so what is now the influence on the time of Heilbronn? Do they get an advantage or is this just bad luck, Thijs?
Yeah, so this is bad luck for them, but like I said, they should have been able to oh wow, the Cairo car not quite understanding the blue flags. He thought they meant he had to move off the track immediately, but he is now moving into the overtaking lane.
It looks to us up here that there's something wrong with the steering of the Cairo car. The driver doesn't appear to be holding the steering wheel straight while he's driving straight. Not sure if that's leading to the slow run so far.
Yeah, you can clearly see the Cairo driver steering to the left when going straight. So quite curious to see what happens now. Meanwhile, the Cairo team did touch a cone just now, as I could see. I think the marshals saw it, but I also think the cone is not out of its marked box. So what are the rules regarding cones, Austin?
Yes, Steph, the rules for the cones, if you hit a cone and it either falls over or is removed from its box, you'll get a 2-second penalty. If you hit a cone and it remains standing or flips up in the air and lands back down standing in its box, you will manage to avoid a penalty. But as we spoke with yesterday, it's very rare that this happens. I think you guys said you saw it happen once.
Yeah, that's correct. We were very happy to have a video of evidence of that too. Saw it once in 2010. But yeah, the definition of the cone landing in the box is that at least one of the 4 corners needs to be touching one of the lines that surround the cone normally. The marshals will then proceed to put it back to the exact right spot, but it will not be counted as a penalty towards the team. Of course, the penalty would normally be 2 seconds. Other penalties would include going off course. This means that if you were to go completely off track, a 20-second penalty would be deducted if you, unless you can manage to enter a track before the point where you exited it. So it can actually be a good idea, especially during endurance, as opposed to autocross, to, if you do go off course, make a little turn and try and drive back a little bit, such that you can rejoin the course before the spot where you exited it. That might cost you 10 seconds, but that'll still then save you 10 seconds relative to the penalty that you would otherwise get.
Yeah, so meanwhile, we can see on the lap times that Heilbronn is lapping twice as fast at the moment as Cairo. The best time of Heilbronn so far, and also their current pace, is around 93-94. Whilst the Cairo car is lapping at 185 seconds. This poses a challenge, of course, to the Heilbronn car, but of course also the Formula Student rulebook has defined some rules about this, right, Thijs?
Yeah, that is correct. The rulebook does state a number. I think it's 145%, which is the percentage that the slowest team on track should be within as compared to the fastest car on track at that moment. I do think, however, that at this stage of the endurance, officials tend to be a bit more lenient towards teams because they do want to see every single team to get a chance to get some running done. we do see have a very proactive attitude towards the blue flags right now, though. The Cairo team preemptively got one because the Heilbronn car was entering in the distance, was nearing quickly, and they just overtook the Cairo car. As Steph said, we should expect the Heilbronn car to lap the Cairo car basically every lap it does.
And I just noticed, even though the Cairo car is going very slow, as he tried to make a left turn through the cone killer chicane, his front left wheel was off the ground.
Yeah, I would think that their crossweights might not be completely tuned.
Yeah, regarding the overtaking, the track here in Hockenheim does have 4 overtaking lanes in total. So if the marshals are really proactive in the blue flags, and I think they will for Heilbronn because they're actually lapping quite fast, I think the marshals will be stopping Cairo every now and then in order to let Heilbronn pass. So maybe also you have noticed that the Brooks car is not starting yet. It's not a mechanical failure whatsoever. They just have to wait a little bit until the 2 cars can get some laps in. So the team is looking calm, is looking cool, driver is looking cool. So for those of you awaiting Brooks, there's no indication from my point of view that there is something wrong. They just have to wait by the officials I suppose for Cairo to have in a couple of laps. So meanwhile, Mickey and Thijs here from commentary are looking at the Cairo car with binoculars. Mickey, why are you looking with binoculars to the Cairo car?
Well, it's let's say it's an interesting driving style at the moment. The driver only uses one hand and he keeps the other hand on the shifter clutch assembly. We don't know whether it's a technical malfunction or something else wrong with the car. We also see the brake light burning constantly. So let's see how far this car can go.
Now, it is quite interesting to see, but then again, I do believe this is the first time that the Cairo team is driving after several participations here. So it is good to see them driving, also allowing the team to make some footage, some photographs, some nice videos of the car. So I think this is very good for the team.
Just a quick update, they've managed to improve their previous best lap time by about 30 seconds that last lap, Cairo. And Heilbronn also set their fastest lap the last time around to the 90.524.
Regarding the lap times, maybe it's interesting to get the lap times from previous years, but in order to compare them with these year's times, Mickey, is the track similar as it has been for the past years now?
There are a lot of similarities, of course. The general layout is more or less the same, but it's very difficult to compare the times because of the track condition of the asphalt, but also because of slight changes. I mean, a cone here and there can have a lot of influence on your driving times. So it's very difficult to compare it to last year. I think we'll just have to see what kind of times we can run here. We saw yesterday we saw quite a number of cars being very close to each other. So let's hope we can see the same today.
So yeah, meanwhile Cairo again gets the black flag at the middle section, so Heilbronn can pass. Regarding comparison of times, yesterday in the autocross we did see some comparable times to the year before. So track conditions last year were good, it's warm, and also while the day progresses we'll get warmer and get more rubber on there. This might be an indication that also the endurance times can be comparable to last year's, but we have to find that out.
Yeah, I do think that the officials are now hesitant to send out any more cars. Oxford Brooks and Poznan are in front of the line, in front of the queue. But with the Cairo driver lapping so slowly, I don't think they're very eager to send out any more cars because that'll just take a lot more overtaking. At the current pace, I think Cairo is on track to need another 40 minutes or so. Let's see if they can speed up a little bit. Meanwhile, Heilbronn has pulled in for their driver change already, so they have completed their first 9 laps. They now have 3 minutes to change their drivers.
Yeah, so I will look more closely to the driver
And,
change.
sorry to interrupt. It looks like they're giving the Cairo car the meatball flag. It's a flag indicating the officials want the car to come in for inspection to make sure everything's all right with it. There will be no time penalty given to the team, but obviously if the officials deem that something has failed or something's not right, they won't be allowed to go back out.
So meanwhile, Mickey and me will take a close look at the driver change of Heilbronn. Mickey, what happens during the driver change?
So the idea is that you change the driver, as the name suggests, but you have to make sure that he's strapped in properly. Usually it means that only 3 people of the team are allowed to be in there, so that means 1 extra hand is allowed to be in there to help the driver strap in. We see Heilbronn do it by themselves, so only the 2 drivers at the moment. All they have to do is get the new driver in, make any adjustments that are necessary for the second driver, and then restart the car and go ahead.
Yeah, so meanwhile we will switch to Austin because the Brooks car is coming now.
Yeah, the Brooks car is just taking the green flag. I believe it's Robin is driving at the moment. He was absolutely flying last year before they had some issues during endurance. So we'll see if he can pick it up right where he left off. Hoping he set some very quick lap times.
Yeah, so meanwhile Mickey and me are still with the driver change. Mickey, besides changing the driver, we also see the scrutineers looking at the car closely, both with the Heilbronn car and of course also with the Cairo car. What are they looking at?
Well, as you know, the rules state that no fluids are allowed to be leaking from the cars. So the scrutineers will check the cars for any leakages, but also safety issues, for example, brakes or loose parts on the body or overly moving suspension parts. So they will check these cars for safety reasons and for fluids. And if they find anything, they will have an assessment whether it's safe to continue or not. If it's not safe to continue, they will not allow the car back on track.
Yeah, so while the Heilbronn car is strapping in the second driver, looking very calm, I have to say, like very professional. Unfortunately, the Cairo team now being pulled off. I'm not quite sure whether the scrutineers found a technical unsafe issue there, or that they were bound to the minimum times on track. Maybe we can come back to this later, but maybe it will be also a combination of both factors. So, Poznan entering the track, car 302 from Poland. Was been in and out a little bit out of the queue at wet pad on the first day. Had some technical difficulties, but did pass scrutineering quite soon. So this car, I think, can set some benchmarks together with Heilbronn. What do you think, Austin?
I think so, and I also want to point out Oxford Brooks' first lap time was an 81-second lap, which is about 10 seconds faster than Heilbronn's best. So they're absolutely flying out there at the minute.
And of course, you, being an alumnus from the Oxford Brooks team, are very happy with that.
I am very happy. I am not biased, but I'm very happy. Let's hope they can continue it for the rest of the run. It does look like Robin's just taken out a cone for Oxford Brooks, but he's keep moving.
So I was just informed by Mickey, who has a little bit more technical info about the cars and what the scrutineers are doing, that Cairo has a DNF because of the brake failure. So it was a technical malfunction that caused them to pull out of the dynamic area.
And Oxford Brooks improves their lap time with a 77.8 on their second lap.
Yeah, meanwhile, Heilbronn did restart, but it sounded very loudly from up here. So they had to kill the engine again, and now scrutineers are looking at the car.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't be surprised at all by the quick speed of the Oxford Brooks car. Oh, actually, they have just stopped by the track. I was going to say that they performed very well in the autocross event last year, where they placed 7th, even though they had trouble finishing the endurance. They are currently stopped, but I think they've gotten going again.
It looked like he was just waiting for a cone to be moved. He may have gone slightly off track, but the car is running again.
That is good news.
Yeah, we just saw Heilbronn having some issues with the restarting. Maybe they can try again. Yes, they are allowed to start again. Thijs, what is it about the hot starts that poses difficulties, especially in these temperatures, right?
Yeah, well, it depends. Some of the cars are having more trouble when it's cold. Other cars are having more trouble when they have a hot engine. The car did actually just start, although it was very loud. The driver does seem to have some trouble getting it to restart again now.
Meanwhile, Poznan is continuing a clean run so far. They're making some good progress onto their second lap now, I believe.
Heilbronn have? No, they appear to start. Driver shaking his head.
So the Brooks car coming by the finish line now at a 1:05. Of course, they stopped, but I expect them still to be the fastest car on track at this moment, followed by Heilbronn when they come back, and then Poznan.
Well, I can see Scrutineer counting down. I think that's it for Heilbronn. They were given about 20 seconds to try and restart.
So for the live stream viewers, the University Navarra, I think it's car 321 from San Sebastian, is now approaching the starting line. The car is not on yet, I suppose. I don't hear it at least. Oh, it is on. It's just quite quiet. They are now approaching the starting line in order to start their endurance run.
I'm afraid that's a DNF for Heilbronn, car 239. Yeah, unfortunately they were unable to restart the car properly when they had to. As the guys from Navarra, car 321, joined the track.
So the University of Navarra now entered the track. Came by with a little rattle. I'm quite curious to see whether that will pose any problems for them later on. Meanwhile, car 343 from Constance is lining up, while Brooks is really flying out there past the starting line.
The Heilbronn driver completed a fairly cautious first lap, I think. A bit slower than the previous driver. He should be able to get about 20 seconds off the pace if the car is still in good shape. No, I'm sorry, that is of course incorrect. The Heilbronn car has just been DNF'd. I was looking at the wrong section of the timing screen. However, the guys from Poznan are looking good.
Poznan driver putting in some consistent laps so far. We'll see how this one is as he crosses the line. Still very consistent. His best lap time though in 94, second lap.
So
whoa, and the rear wing of Poznan appears to have broken off. He's driving on, he's only got the left-hand end plate of the wing as he entered the lost chain section of the course.
Yeah, yellow flags are flying.
And also I think car 321 will get a blue flag because Oxford Brooks is approaching them quite fast, and yes, they will. So they are now forced to go into the overtaking lane while Oxford Brooks can't pass.
Poznan is still going, but I presume they'll be pulled off by the marshals once they get around to the pit.
Whenever a car enters an overtaking lane, they are required to queue by the end and wait for the green flag to be waved, because of course you cannot automatically enter after a single car has passed. There might be one or more cars behind that car still.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to see how long the other end will stay on there, because of the mechanical integrity of the wing, of course, now is not really as it should be. I also see it wobbling a bit, so let's see what happens in this bumpy section over here.
Before we get too much further, I just want to talk about the chassis of Poznan. It's a folded aluminium monocoque chassis. It's a concept that Oxford Brooks has been developing for the past few years. It actually looks quite similar to the car I was involved with in 2011. Oxford Brooks has now moved on to a folded carbon fiber monocoque chassis, which is quite unique, and you should go talk to them about it if you get a chance. It's very interesting what they've done.
Yeah, the Poznan guys, meanwhile, predictably getting the meatball flag. Of course, the scrutineers will want to take a look at what happened there. Unfortunately, the wing is very, very flexible right now. Structural integrity is pretty much completely gone, and I'm afraid they're going to have they will have no choice but to DNF this car, unfortunately.
And UAS Constance car 343 takes the green flag. Meanwhile, Oxford Brooks is catching up to the University of Navarra again.
Smelling really good also, the Constance car. I think it was Constance just flying by. You can really smell the engine over here. Very cool.
I'm not sure how good it'll be for fuel economy, but it does certainly smell nice, a rich burning petrol engine.
Yeah, the correct term indeed is rich. Also, when engines run a little bit more rich, you can sometimes hear some bangs coming out of the exhaust. That is unburned fuel in the exhaust, which then you can hear. It's nothing too serious.
And the Navarra completes their lap, 104.533. I think Oxford Brooks had some issues that lap because their lap time was very similar.
So meanwhile, the Constance cars were really flying to these horseshoe turns over here. Looking very good. I'm quite eager to see whether they can match the Brooks times that they are driving so far.
Yes, Constance is a very aggressive aerodynamics package. They've got more wing elements than I can count, and they are flying, so it's not even giving me a chance to get a good number.
Yeah, their first lap time is a 94.25. That's a little bit faster than the last lap of Poznan. Roughly the same speed though. It's a little bit slower than the first lap of Oxford Brooks, and definitely a bit slower than what they have been running in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, meanwhile in the queue, car number 232 from Coimbatore, India is preparing. Also a car which had some difficulties during the earlier dynamic events, but did drive, I believe, the autocross yesterday. So let's see if they can put in some clean laps here at the endurance event.
And Navarra has just crossed the line again. Their fastest lap time of 95.382.
Yeah, and after the Indian team from Coimbatore, we see the golden one from the Dortmund team, only with 6 team members present here. It's the smallest team on site, but I think the car can go quite fast. So Constance coming up here at the fast section.
Yeah, let's see how much faster it can be than a 94.25 from just now. Oh, it's a big improvement. It's an 83.796.
So we have the last lap sign here before the driver change. I believe it was for Brooks' car. Is that correct, Austin?
Yeah, that should be the case. Last year, the very fastest
like
cars. That
Oxford Brooks is pulling off to the side of the track. As they drove past the last time, it sounded like he was stuck in a single gear. He's going again, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
It's incidentally the same spot where he stopped a bit earlier. I'm not sure if it's related.
Maybe he's just making friends with those marshals.
So, Constance flying in again. Let's see what they can do to improve their own time.
It's a very slight improvement this time, but it's nice consistency. just to give you a bit of perspective, the very fastest teams last year were running in the low 70s. So that might be an indication of what we would expect to see today as well. The autocross times yesterday matched the autocross times from last year quite closely as well, the very fastest ones. So GFR last year, I think, ran a 72.7 on average. So let's see this afternoon how close the very fastest teams can get to that, or if they can even beat it. Meanwhile, Oxford Brookes coming in for their driver change.
Regarding all the mechanical problems they had at the Brookes, it's very good to see them bringing it home for the first driver. Meanwhile, San Sebastian Navarra crosses the line, and they look and sound very good, so there's no indication whatsoever about the cars just flying out there. Very good.
From where we were standing, it almost looked as if Oxford Brookes' car was unable to shift anymore, but let's see how the next driver can do.
So the Brookes team have taken along a third team member to assist the two drivers, and they're looking very professional, very calm. We have done this before, I think.
First driver briefing the second driver now on how to approach driving the car.
Constance has just reset their fastest lap in an 80.482, so the driver appears to be improving every lap, learning the track. We'll see what he can do on his fifth lap.
So far, quickest time of the day is still the Brookes car, which is currently in driver change with a 77.8. Constance then with 80.4. Let's see if they can close the gap to Oxford Brookes in the next laps.
Yeah, interestingly, the fastest lap for Oxford Brookes was already their second lap. Since then, they've been stuck behind the slower team a couple times, I think. And they've run a bit slower in the other laps as well. Let's see how the second driver can do. They will be about to start their engine in a little bit, I think. But first, we can see the team from car number 232, who have been given the go-ahead to start their engine. The car 232, of course, the car from India, from Coimbatore. I think the driver's still struggling a little bit to find the clutch.
Yeah, maybe he lost the clutch, Thijs.
Yeah, the car seemed to be rocking forward a bit when the driver tried to start it. It was running just now, so let's hope he can restart it again.
Like San Sebastian is getting the blue flag to let Constance by. They've seen it, and Constance is straight by. They've not really lost any time at all, so good timing for them and good flagging by the marshals.
Guys from India, car 232, struggling to get the car back in neutral. I think they fixed that.
So as Austin just pointed out to me, it seems like we smell a little bit of plastic moldering.
Yeah, it smells like burning plastic or burning epoxy or something. I can't see any outward issues anywhere, but...
Yeah, it's not necessarily the Brookes car. It also could have been one of the cars passing here.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, meanwhile, car 232 has started their engine, or restarted, as they are about to get the go-ahead to approach the green flag. However, Oxford Brookes as well. No, it's going to be 232 first. They're in gear.
Yeah, so approaching the starting line, car 232, the first Indian team here on track while they get the green flag. No, they have to wait for a while. Let's see.
Looks like Oxford Brookes is having some trouble getting restarted.
All sorts of pops and bangs coming from the Oxford Brooks exhaust. Sounds like it's pretty close to getting it started, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, so meanwhile the Constance car has overtaken San Sebastian again. They're really flying out there. I think they'll be able to match the Brooks time.
First, let's hope that the Brooks guys can make it back to track. Clock is ticking. And as they're frantically putting switches, yes, they have fired up. They're very happy. The officials were gesturing to each other that the 10-second countdown had already started, but just in time they have managed to fire it up. Approaching the green flag now, waiting for the go-ahead and allowing the car in front of them to build up the gap.
Yeah,
of course, we should expect Oxford Brooks to be the fastest car on track, as they have showed before that they have the speed. So, oh, he stalls right after taking the green flag. Let's hope he can restart it quickly.
And they've stalled again, but they did restart in the last 5 seconds of the allocated time given to them by the marshal. So hopefully he can get it going again.
As the Indian team takes out 3 cones in the second corner. And Oxford Brooks still trying to start. An ultimate attempt. The motor's very close, but he must be draining the battery by now. The driver's shaking his head. I think this is going to be pretty difficult. As Constance passes by again, and 88.84. Oh, Oxford Brooks have fired up. The officials have been very lenient there. I think they should be very lucky to still be in the race. Yeah, as Navarra take the check flag for their driver change, and Oxford Brooks will be trying once again to keep the engine running and getting to the track, but no, they stall again. Well, this time he did manage to restart quite a bit quicker. Full throttle, keep it running. He's in gear, and he appears to be rolling.
And they're off. Give them a big cheer past the grandstand. The Brooks car is running again.
They were very, very close to being pulled out of this race, but they managed to get it back on track.
I've been holding my breath for the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, Austin's been kind of quiet.
I didn't think they could make the pit stop any more dramatic than they did last year, but I think they just took the cake on that one.
So meanwhile, also the car from Dortmund, car 229, has fired up and are approaching the starting line at this very moment. Constance coming in, getting the checkered flag.
In for the driver change as well, of course. The driver appeared to have slowed down a little bit. I'm not sure if he got stuck behind another car in the last couple of laps.
So the Dortmund car on track, amply named the Golden One, and everybody can see why, of course.
So Oxford Brooks still is going, but I do think they are having some shifter issues based on the issues getting the car rolling again, and the sound the car is making sounding more like a lawnmower than a race car at the moment.
Yeah, of course, it can also be an explanation why it didn't come off the line quite easily. If it is stuck in a higher gear, the driver really has to put in a lot more throttle in order to get away without stalling the engine.
Well, their lap time of 88.5 is fairly decent considering the speed that they were at in the last couple of laps before the driver change. I think this might just be the speed that they're looking at for the rest of the endurance if the shifter problems persist. Meanwhile, the Indian car takes out another cone at the, I think, That's what we call the horseshoe.
Yeah, so the Oxford team driving with a single-cylinder car. I think they're stuck in either second or third gear. For a single-cylinder car, they have quite a broad power band, so that may be an explanation why the lap times are not so much affected. I can remember us from the Delft team also having this issue several years ago.
Although it looks like he's just stopped on the back end of the course once again.
That does appear to be the tricky section of them for the track for them. They're still not completely off. I think I saw the car rocking forward a little bit.
Yeah, so Thijs, in your opinion, can it have to do with maybe the very sharp corner over there that he stalls? He has to go through that too slowly or not?
I'm not sure. The previous 2 times he did stall, he was right in front of the corner, but he's gotten going again now. Let's hope he can make it through.
Brooks' team really putting on a show, and this is really something for Austin. He's also a little bit more quiet than us, but don't worry, Austin, we'll cover it.
Car 321 from Navarra, meanwhile waiting for the green flag.
Yeah, so Navarra in for the second driver. The second stint, they did restart. Oh, they stalled now, but they're on again, no problems there. Waiting to get to approach the track.
Yeah, pretty smooth sounding 4-cylinder, which is apparently quite a bit easier to start than some of the other cars. But that little delay did cause him to have to wait for the Oxford Brooks car. This is time that will not be counted against the team. As soon as they are successfully through driver change and waiting for the green flag, that is the officials' time, shall we say. And as soon as they cross the timing beacon for the first time, their time will start again. Driver is having a little bit of trouble getting it off the line, though.
Yeah, he's trying to get it into gear. I think there's an auto clutch there, but he is going to give them a big cheer for the second run car 3-2-1.
Yeah, driving away not their strong suit, but once they got it going, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, so meanwhile, I would like to take a look at the queue here. So the queue first up is 272. Then car number 261, after that car number 312, but first we have car number 343 from Constance reapproaching the starting line.
Sorry to interrupt stuff, but Oxford Brooks just stopped again. They're going again, but they're stopping again, it looks. Not having a very good time out there at all. And he's rolling again, so I'm not sure what the problem is, but it seems every other lap they stop on that side of the course.
It might be a matter of time before a meatball flag is shown to see if there's any persistent problem that needs to be addressed. Let's hope they can keep it going. Meanwhile, car 343 is allowed to re-enter the track after the Dartmouth car has been able to build up a little bit of distance. Constance, however, too, struggling quite a bit to get it in the proper gear, but they are rolling now, and they have rejoined the track.
Navarra crosses the line again. The hashtag Let It Yaw on their rear wing. Do have a very good aggressive aerodynamics package. Here Oxford Brooks comes around again. And Oxford Brooks slowing as they enter the lost chain corner. He's come to a stop once more.
So meanwhile, car 272 Team Dortmund is approaching the starting line. They are not in the magazine, so that is probably an indication they were on the waiting list. I did recall seeing them in autocross yesterday, so let's see what they can do this time.
And the golden one takes out a cone as he approaches the end of the lap.
I think it was not just one cone, I think it were two. But Okay, so after the next car will be 261 Unisevilla, followed by Thessaloniki 312. After that, Deggendorf, car number 44, and after that we'll see a first-year team from Arnhem, car number 246. Furthermore, I see no queue yet lining up.
So at the moment, it doesn't look like they're sending out any more cars. There are a few cars on track having some issues. They're still going, but not going at 100%. So they want to minimize the effect on the other teams. So I think they're going to let these cars try and finish before they let any more cars out onto the track.
Yeah, so we have now the Brooks team, the team from San Sebastian, and the team from Constance, who have passed the driver change. I presume the first car to finish would be Oxford Brooks or San Sebastian.
I've got to say that even though Oxford Brooks only has one gear and they're in the same gear the whole lap, the engine sounds much better this year than it has any of the other years I can think of. Car 232 from India comes around from another lap.
Yeah, meanwhile the car from Dortmund, the golden one, is passing the finish line, but the car 343 from I think Constance is really catching up. Yeah, they get the blue flag.
And Oxford Brooks slowing again.
Yeah, looks like they stalled again. I'm quite curious how lenient the marshals will stay during this endurance track, but they are allowed to continue, so it's back on. So let's see if they can manage to complete the endurance as the first team.
They do have the most laps completed of any team so far. That being said, it has been a while since they've had a clean lap in which they didn't stall. So I'm not even sure what their actual speed while they are driving is right now.
Sorry to interrupt us, but we see the car from overtaken by two cars.
Yep, the guys from India, Coimbatore and Constance flying past. Also, I think the guys from India are going to get a blue flag and Constance will be allowed to pass in the very next overtaking lane.
Constance gets past the Indian team in the overtaking lane. He's back on at full throttle, drifting around the cone killer chicane. And and a part falls off the Indian car. It looks like a catch tank bottle. And TU Dortmund coming around as well. Fortunately, the bottle's rolled off the side of the track, but the marshals have picked it up, and the yellow flag is removed.
I was just going to say that even though they're not the fastest team on track, the Coimbatore are putting in some pretty decent, consistent lap times, around an average of 1:11. However, I'm pretty sure there will be a meatball flag shown to them in the very next time they come by. I'm sure these scrutineers will want to have a look at whatever's going on in the back of that car.
Oxford Brooks with a reasonable lap that time in 86 seconds. That's about 20 seconds quicker than their previous 8 or 9 laps. So that was a clean lap for them.
Yeah, they only have two and a half laps to go, so let's hope they can make it.
The Indian team being shown the last lap board, so apparently they're being allowed to continue and at least get to their pit stop. He also appears to be carrying a cone. Meanwhile, there's a bit of a traffic jam forming.
Not sure how suited the cone is for catching any fluids, but let's hope they can make it to driver change okay.
And Oxford Brooks is stopped again, but they're rolling.
Dortmund, meanwhile, being passed. TU Dortmund, that is. No, UAS Dortmund being passed by TU Dortmund.
So unfortunately, no blue flag given there. Let's see if they get it in the next overtaking line.
Oxford Brooks about to enter their second to last lap.
One byproduct of this shifter issue is they've actually had a very clean run. I can only remember them hitting one cone, which I think may be a school record.
And Brooks is stalling again on track. Yellow flags have been waving, but okay, Oxford Brooks has been able to restart in the past, so I think they will be able to restart and continue the endurance now also.
Yeah, they've got it going again.
They're certainly one of the more persistent UK teams, I'd have to say, Steph.
Yes, they will win the award for the most persistent UK team, I think, by far.
We can't call them Honey Badgers because the Italian team has that name already, but there's something pretty close to that, I think.
Car 232 made it to driver change. The guys from Coimbatore in India. I'm sure the listeners will be eager to have a look at the back of the car. Remember
And Navarra completes the lap, takes out a cone just before the end of the lap.
No, I think they carried it for quite a while. It was quite cool to see.
I'm afraid the scrutineers are not happy with what they're seeing with the what appears to be a missing catch can for engine fluids. I think that's going to be it for the guys from car 232. Give them a big hand though. They made it all the way to driver change.
Constance flying by again, while Oxford Brooks really is now getting the last lap sign, clipping a couple of cones. Last lap for Brooks. Can they make it to the end?
Everybody give them a big round of applause. Cheer them on for this last lap. They've been trying really hard. They've had a miserable weekend, and they could turn things around a bit here by getting a finish in endurance.
This would really be really something for the Brooks teams if they can manage the endurance. It would be an amazing result for the team.
Meanwhile, the guys from Sevilla, car 261, are starting up their engine. Actually, for the fourth time now. Like some of the other drivers, he's got some problems keeping it running. But he has now approached the green flag. He's about to wait for the signal that he can go ahead and join the track.
I think Brooks in their last lap even are going to overtake some cars maybe. So Brooks halfway there, coming back to the infield. Let's see if they can make it through these tough horseshoe corners over here. Meanwhile, Austin standing next to me, he's a little bit quiet.
And Sevilla is off. Took some effort, but he's got it going. And as long as his car is actually running and on track, it looks pretty good.
So a bit of a traffic jam there behind the car from Dortmund.
Yeah,
now,
the UAS from Dortmund, that is.
I will leave this to you, Austin. I will leave this to you.
I've always wanted to say this, but Oxford Brooks takes the checkered flag and becomes the first team to finish endurance at FSG 2016. Everybody give them a big round of applause.
Congratulations to Austin, but mostly, of course, to the team. Very well done, car 292.
Yeah, so normally now what we do is interview team members, but maybe I can better interview Austin. So Austin, how do you feel?
Oh, this is amazing for the team. I'm afraid to take my hat off. I think all my hair has turned gray.
So very good, very good. They had a lot of struggles last weekend and a very good result for them. So congratulations to Oxford Brooks in being the first car to finish endurance.
I may go down and try to get a word with Robin from the team. He's usually quite good with interviews, so we'll see what he has to say.
So, back to the track. we have two cars also about to complete the endurance. The team from Constance and San Sebastian both have 2 laps to go, and San Sebastian now is flying past.
I'm down here with Robin, the first driver from Oxford Brookes. First of all, congratulations for finishing endurance. How does it feel?
Pretty good. Better than last year where we didn't finish. I mean, the car was really shit. It kept cutting out. Like, as soon as we went above, like, I don't know, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 RPM, it just cut straight out. And we stopped. It restarted fine, and then we kept going. But we sort of struggling with gears. Had to do most of it in first gear, going around the track at basically the same speed the whole way around. We finished, and we haven't finished in the last, what, 4 years now, so 2012 was the last time.
Sorry to interrupt, Austin. We have a fire on track, a car on fire. So the car from team from Sevilla, driver is getting out safely, while the team from Constance is getting the last lap sign.
He is in a fairly safe location for the other teams, which are driving by slowly. Let's hope the fire can be controlled quickly.
Yeah, so I think the driver did very well there to park the car along the track, so a very safe position. Very good work from the driver there.
Yeah, the fire department is in standby to join the track, but they are now being given the sign that that will not be necessary. It appears the fire is completely under control.
So thanks to Robin from Oxford Brookes for that interview and some insight into the issues they were facing as they finished endurance.
We have here another checkered flag. It is the team from San Sebastian, car 321, completing endurance. Big, very good for them.
I think we've got some very happy viewers in the live stream that was following the team through the endurance run. So thanks for following us, and way to go.
Yeah, team also looking very happy there in the dynamic area. So high fives all over.
Yeah, San Sebastian on average a little bit slower than Oxford Brookes, only a half a second. So Oxford Brookes still the fastest team to complete. Of course, in terms of pure performance, we might have expected the team to be quite a bit quicker, but they were hampered by mechanical issues that we discussed previously. As the guys from Constance take the checkered flag for, I think that will be their driver change.
No, it's not.
No, you're right. They have finished endurance 2 in what is the new best time by quite a bit. They finished in a 90 seconds, 0.3 on average. So that's 7.5 seconds faster than the Oxford Brookes guy. Congratulations to the guys from car 343, Constance.
Yeah, it was a very good time by Constance. It also was a very constant performance. The lap times were quite equal all over. Only the last time was above 100 seconds, a bit slower than the rest, but a good average time there.
Steph, you've been thinking about that one for a while, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Looks like they're moving the stricken car out of the way.
So another car preparing to enter the dynamic area. It is a team from Velora, Pravega Racing. Pravega meaning acceleration. And they're very happy. So maybe because of the small fire there going on, we forgot to mention that UAS Dortmund was in the driver change. They were, and actually they were quite well, because they are approaching the starting line now to enter the second run with the second driver.
Meanwhile, TU Dortmund is also still circulating.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet on track, but now second car is joining. Both of the Dortmund guys on track. A little bit of a battle going on between the two of those. The UAS so far is a bit quicker on average. They lap in around 111 seconds per lap. That was the average for the first driver. The TU Dortmund so far 117 on average.
team, Pravega Racing, the engine has turned on, so they are ready to go and about to approach the starting line.
Dortmund cars still continuing to circulate at a steady pace. Looks from here that the TU Dortmund car is quite significant positive camber on both rear wheels. I'm not sure if this is intentional or a byproduct of something else.
Well, I noticed that on the autocross track yesterday as well, so it will not be a result of anything that happened today, I don't think. As the guys from Verlora, car 254, are being given the signal that they should be preparing for receiving the green flag.
TU Dortmund being shown the last lap before they come in for their pit stop.
So to remind you all, the best set lap time is a 77.8 by the Brooks team, and the best overall lap time on average was set by Constance with an average lap time of about 90.3 seconds.
The marshals taking the opportunity to remove the Sevilla car from the track. Now that it's still a bit more quiet, as the officials wait for the next cars to join.
Yeah, what we normally see with the cars that malfunction during the track today is that they will be placed on the infield, and during lunch break the teams will be allowed to get the cars back again.
Verlora, meanwhile, have started their engine and are now approaching the starting line. I think they'll wait for TU Dortmund to pass by, get some space, and then be allowed to join the track.
And TU Dortmund takes the flag to come in for their mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, so coming on track now is the second Indian team, car 254, getting the green flag. Pravega Racing from Vellora, India. Give them a big cheer when they pass the grandstand.
Fairly routine pit stop from Dortmund, although one of the team members is head first in the cockpit.
Yeah, this will create some nice pictures. We have a team member head first in the cockpit, wiggling a little bit on the, I think to believe, the pedals for the next driver to have the new settings. So it was quite funny to see there. So next up will be the Uni Thessaloniki, car 312. I believe to hear the engine running, so they're about to also receive the green flag in order to start their endurance run. Thessaloniki having had their fair share of problems in the past weekend, but now looking very good. It's a very nice looking car with a full wing package.
Sorry to interrupt. It looks like the golden one from Dortmund is coming to a slowing down. He's still rolling forward. I can't hear if he's still got power or not.
Yeah, so the driver is indicating a kill sign, so I do believe that he has no traction anymore. I think it's a drivetrain issue. So give them a big applause from the grandstand. The smallest team here from Dortmund, unfortunately having a DNF, but a very good performance by them.
Meanwhile, TU Dortmund is still making the final adjustments to the seatbelts for their driver.
Yeah, and Pravega Racing is going through the last issue on the So I thought Mickey was saying something. Well, Pravega Racing really comes flying by. Thijs, what is the time?
It's a 1:11.7. I think we should expect our time to drop a little bit. They were doing pretty well in the autocross, and they've been running quite consistently throughout the event so far.
So, Thessaloniki now approaching the starting line. The first Greek team of two we seeing today. The black and yellow car with a full aero package, about to getting the green flag.
You can see the driver from Pravega Racing really pushing it. He's hitting some bumps quite severely on the backside of the course.
And the green flag for Thessaloniki. They're off.
Yeah, the Indian car quite softly sprung.
So after the start of Thessaloniki, the next in line will be Deggendorf. After that, it will be UAS Arnhem to car number 246.
Pretty sure I just saw the Indian car get up on two wheels as he went around one of the corners.
Yeah, they are pitching and rolling quite violently into every single corner. But he appears to be handling it pretty well. Apparently he got some decent testing time and knows what the car feels like. Surprisingly clean, I would say, so far.
Yeah, he has been very clean. He's probably got a future as a stunt driver, if you ask me.
So after Arnhem, we have two cars also here. Car 218. I can't really recall to see which car it is from here. And car number 32. That is, I believe, to be Terrassa.
Yep, and as the Indian team just did knock over Ocon, unfortunately, they did improve their time by quite a bit. It's now a 99.17. Pretty good improvement for that.
218 is the Baltic Racing from Stralsund. Steph.
I thought it was so, but I wanted to check first. Stralsund in line, they're being the oldest German team here.
Meanwhile, we have the car from Deggendorf, car 44, as our first electric team today. They have joined the track, and curious to see what they can do in terms of constant speed. They were pretty good yesterday in the autocross as well. Thessaloniki quite severely understeering through the tight section here.
Yeah, with a very impressive first lap of 91.4. Also, the Arnhem team has fired up their engine, so it's the first-year team, heaviest car on track, but it has proven to be reliable this weekend. So let's see whether they can finish the endurance.
Yeah, they've been able to successfully complete all of the events so far, so hopefully that trend can continue. They've put on a very good performance, especially for a brand new team. So hopefully that continues.
As Deggendorf closes in fast on the car from India, and yes, they are being given the blue flag. Deggendorf will be allowed to pass.
I think Deggendorf will maybe even set the fastest time of today. Let's see what the benchmark is.
And only on their very first lap. Let's see what it's going to be. It's an 88.76, so quite a way to go to the actual 77.8 as Oxenbrooks earlier, but for average speed, they're pretty up there.
Sorry to interrupt, Thijs, but meanwhile here in the dynamic area, the driver change of the TU Dortmund car has not went well. They are being pulled off. So car 272, also unfortunately a DNF for them.
Thessaloniki improves their lap time with an 87.5. As the car from Deggendorf goes around Fast Forest Racing, and a unique feature of this car is they've actually got a headlight on the front of their car. In past years, they've had to do much testing at night, and they've had all sorts of lights, so they have it there as a tribute to the past cars. I suppose they could use it to flash the other cars to get out of the way if they need to pass anybody, but it might have some other uses as well.
Well, right now they're pretty evenly matched with Thessaloniki. Let's see where Arnhem will slot in a little bit when they will be allowed to join the track. They're next in line.
Let's see what Deggendorf can do.
Second lap, 4-second improvement, 84.5.
So Thijs, I will leave this to you. We can see the Arnhem team now approaching to the starting line. A team which you have helped personally in starting up their team. This one's for you.
Yeah, they approach the green flag. Just waiting for Below and the guys from Thessaloniki to pass by. And they have successfully rolled off the line, and they're now on their way. Let's see how far they can that. As far as I know, they have never so far finished a full endurance distance in one go. So let's give them a big hand and hope for the best. I'm sure they'll do great.
So Deggendorf coming in again at the horseshoe turns. Last lap they improved by 4 seconds. Let's see if they can scrape that off again. It's 1 second. They scraped off another one.
Meanwhile, Thessaloniki gets past Prevega Racing in one of the passing zones. One thing to keep in mind over the course of the endurance for the electric cars is they've got to conserve their energy and make sure they have enough power to get all the way to the end. So the times they set in autocross yesterday may not necessarily be repeated, as they need to take it a bit easier on the driving.
Yep, for combustion teams, it's quite easy to just put in an extra liter of fuel, of course. For an electric team, however, that would mean adding another 12 or 20 kilograms to the battery pack weight. So that is actually a very important design parameter that is being taken into account at the start of the year. As Arnhem is about to come through on their first lap. Let's see how fast they can go.
Arnhem about to complete their first endurance lap ever with a 99.077. Very good time from them.
Meanwhile, Prevega Racing managed to take out a few cones just before the end of the lap.
Yeah, again an improvement by 0.2 of a second.
The driver's certainly been very consistent over the past 3 or 4 laps.
So fist bumps here for the Stralsund team, about to start the car. Yes, and Stralsund is on after some difficulties in getting the car started. The driver is closing its visor and is now approaching to the starting line to get the green flag.
And Prevega Racing looks like they're getting the blue flag, so Arnhem can get past.
So the team from Arnhem doing their first overtaking ever and flying by again. Let's see if they can improve their time.
It is a little bit faster. It's a 97, that is. With that, they're about 7 seconds a lap faster than the Prevega Racing team. Of course, Prevega's last lap time was a little bit slower because they were being overtaken. As Stralsund joins the track, 2:18.
So meanwhile, a white and green car here is about to enter the starting line. Car number 33 from Terrassa.
Looks like Deggendorf is approaching the back of Prevega Racing as well. Just about to an overtaking zone, so they shouldn't lose that much time, but still an inconvenience for them.
that'll be the second electric car when Terrassa join us. Very neat looking car. I took part in FSG2016 this year as well. The driver was very nice and clean, white, matching driver overalls. Good job on keeping them that white.
Yeah, for those of you who want to know whether a car is electric or combustion, sometimes it's difficult to hear. Any car number up to 200 is an electric car. Above the 200 mark is a combustion car, so that's quite easy to see for everybody.
Arnhem comes around for another lap. Their car is still sounding very good.
Yeah, pretty smooth sounding R6 4-cylinder from Yamaha. Meanwhile, Deggendorf is catching up to them quite quickly. Meanwhile, the Indian team being overtaken again, and that does cost them some time. They're fairly consistent other than that.
And they're taking a few cones out as well.
Arnhem actually doing a pretty good job of keeping Deggendorf at bay.
Yeah, and they've been doing a good job. Consistent lap times, not hitting any cones. It's been a smooth run for them so far.
They are being shown the blue flag now, so Deggendorf can pass in the next overtaking zone. Shouldn't cost Arnhem too much time.
And Thessaloniki is now stuck behind Vega Racing.
That is quite a significant pace difference.
So meanwhile, the Terrassa team here in the queue has to wait for a while. There are currently 5 cars on track, with a couple of them getting their last lap time before the driver change.
Vega Racing sees the blue flag and lets Thessaloniki by. And the driver from Thessaloniki is really on it now. He's really pushing. He's working really hard in the cockpit.
Deggendorf now have some clean air to see what they can do without having to overtake anyone. Let's see what our next lap time is going to be. Drivers being shown the last lap sign. Of course, it's the last lap for them before driver change, as they pass in an 83.58. Again, nicely consistent, pretty much matching his fastest lap time so far. As Arnhem comes through in a 95.02. Again, the best next best lap time for them. Stralsund, meanwhile, shaving up some seconds every lap as well. An improvement of 4 seconds every lap so far. Let's see if they can get to the lower 80s.
And Thessaloniki now in for their pit stop as well.
As car 32 joins the track.
It's the car from Terrassa, an electric car. Vega Racing now coming around the last few corners before coming in for their pit stop. Driver appears to be taking it cautiously entering the pits. Looks like the car is still okay though.
Looks like Arnhem was not shown a blue flag in the last overtaking zone, so Stralsund is now stuck behind them.
And And Fast Forest Racing comes in for their pit stop as well. It's getting quite busy over here.
Dagendorf finishing their first stint with an 85.8 average lap time. So in the battle for the electrics, that's what the Terrassa team is looking at, as Arnhem is now being shown the blue flag and will go into the overtaking zone.
Team from Thessaloniki now strapping in their second driver. The Prevega Racing and Dagendorf driver is not far behind. Officials seem to be gesturing towards the rear of the Prevega Racing car. I'm not sure if there's an issue, but they've asked the driver to step away.
Yeah, at the sudden moment now, everybody was asked to step away of the car, and the car is being pushed back. So unfortunately, that's not a good
looks like
sign.
they have some sort of leak of fluids from the bottom of their car. I'm not 100% sure what it is.
Yep, we can clearly see a puddle forming over here. Indian guys also asking themselves what it is. So give them a big hand. The team from Prevega Racing, they did very well, but unfortunately now have a DNF.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of fluid too, actually.
Just come down to the Prevega pit, and I'm not 100% sure what the fluid is, but it smells distinctly of gasoline down here, so that would be my best guess. And yes, Mickey has just confirmed it is gasoline that was leaking from the Prevega Racing car, and that's why they've been pulled out of the driver change area.
So meanwhile, Thessaloniki has restarted and back on the starting grid. They're waiting for the green flag. I think they will get him quite soon. Yep, they got it. The team is going absolutely nuts over there with the fans. Very good to see the emotions there.
Terrassa, meanwhile, about to come through on the second lap. Let's see if they can improve on their previous time of 97. It's almost the same. It's nicely consistent. I don't think this driver is fully on the limit. This might be one of the electric cars that is in a sort of an energy-saving mode to make sure they can finish the endurance without draining the battery pack completely before the end. Of course, that does mean that the car isn't at its limits, and it's fairly easy to drive consistently.
Sorry to interrupt. The car from Dagendorf is on. The T-cell is active. I can now hear the sound, and they're allowed to go. So let's see if it goes. Yep, it's approaching the starting line. So also Dagendorf is going to come in for their second stint.
Yep, beside the lack of noise and the numbering system that Steph just alluded to. Another distinctive feature of the electric cars, of course, is the tractive system active light that is blinking in the top of every main hoop of every car that has an active system, active high voltage system. That is, of course, signified to everyone close to the car that it is live, as of course high voltages are involved and safety should be taken into account at all times. Also, before the car actually starts, there will be a ready-to-drive sound, and Dagendorf joined the track. And let's see how if the driver can match his predecessor.
Yeah, it's also quite curious to see what will happen with the Dagendorf lap times. Of course, it's an electric car. Not all electric cars have ample battery capacity. So let's see what Dagendorf does in their second stint and whether they can keep up with a consistent lap times so far.
Yeah, normally you would expect the teams to either monitor their battery levels continuously or at least check them during driver change to see if any adaptations need to be made to the power surge that is being fed to the motors. As Thessaloniki has caught up to Arnhem. Again, no blue flags in the overtaking section they just passed, but I'm sure that will be shown soon. Arnhem has been lapping quite consistently, a lot of 95 lap times whenever they were free and didn't have to be in overtaking zone. They are about to enter their final lap before driver change.
On the track now, car number 60, another electric car from Nuremberg.
The Arnhem now being shown the blue flag, but this is their last lap before the pit stop, so they'll let Thessaloniki by, and the Thessaloniki driver is very pleased about that.
Yeah,
Now,
Arnhem about to enter their last lap, I think.
No, they're...
No, you're right. This was their final lap, and they are now in driver change.
So, Thijs, while you look at the driver change of the Arnhem team, I expect, let's see what the Deggendorf team does with the second driver. So the first lap of the second driver of Deggendorf is 1 second slower than the first lap of the first driver, which indicates very consistent lap times and proper driving training there.
The car from Terrassa, also the driver is still improving his last lap time in 89.1. The driver from Stralsund being shown the last lap sign before he has to come in for their pit stop.
Yeah, the last lap almost matched their best time by 1 second, so let's see if he can push it in his last lap before this change. Meanwhile, the first lap of Nuremberg is completed, car number 60, with a very good 92.5. But they're being catched by Terrassa, who are really flying out there.
And the Thessaloniki sets their fastest lap time of the day in 82.7. It's about 5 seconds faster than their last lap.
Arnhem drivers have clearly practiced their driver change, swapping out chairs and the seats and head restraints.
I wonder who told them to practice it, Thijs?
Yeah, I wonder too. As the officials have a look, it doesn't appear like they see anything they don't like. And I think the Arnhem guys will be allowed to start their engine soon.
The car from Stralsund just navigating in the final few corners before they come in for their pit stop as well.
Yep, Arnhem driver now being told to start the car. And it fires right up. And as Thessaloniki passes the team from Nuremberg, Arnhem is about to be shown the green flag. Although I think that the officials will wait for Deggendorf to pass first. Deggendorf driver, meanwhile, approaching the fastest lap of the previous driver so far.
Meanwhile, Arnhem restarts after their pit stop. They've got going again successfully.
So up next in the queue is car 339 from Toronto, followed by, I cannot really see the car number, a green car which ends with a 1. Besides that, another green car from UES Schweinfurt, car number 297.
Thessaloniki driver having some issues getting through the horseshoe, but he's back up and going again. I think he just overcooked it a little bit going into the corner. Still a quick lap time for him in 83.84. And Nuremberg with their quickest time in 88.75 as well. Deggendorf is running very similar lap times to Thessaloniki. They've just run an 84.06 on their last lap.
So Stralsund are about to restart. Everything is okay. The driver is allowed to start the engine, but I see some gestures over there. So let's see whether they all are okay. Yeah, it does seem that they have some issues to restart the engine. I certainly hope for them it will go all well.
It looked like the car just lurched forward in that attempt. So, and they've got it started now, so very good from them. All the team members look really relieved.
So the black and yellow car of Thessaloniki only has 2.5 laps to go. So they are also about to finish the endurance.
Sorry to interrupt, the Stralsund driver stalled and just jumped out of the car. I'm not sure what happened. He looked like he was going to have a go, but all of a sudden he jumped out, and it looks like Stralsund's run is done. Everybody gives Stralsund a big round of applause, one of the oldest German Formula student teams, saying good lap times, and it just had some issues during the driver change.
And Terrassa now getting the last lap sign for the first driver to come in. Well, Toronto has approached the starting line. The engine is running, awaiting green flag, some cars to pass. And also Deggendorf is now crossing the line. So the Deggendorf car seems to be slowing down at the far end of the track. I think they have come to a full stop and are now being overtaken by Thessaloniki. Also, the last lap of the car from Deggendorf was slowing down already. I don't know if they were standing still or slowing down. I didn't see that.
At this moment in time, the attractive system light is still on for them.
Terrassa is coming in for that driver change. Oh, Thessaloniki has come to a stop. They clipped the cone. Driver is about to restart. Yes, it's back on again and back on track. Yeah. A bit hesitant there, but I think it's up to speed again.
Oh, he looks like he's slowing down again, but he's going. It seems to be an intermittent issue.
It looks to... Is he stuck in first gear?
Might be a similar issue to what Oxford Brooks had earlier.
Yeah, as Nuremberg is being caught quite quickly by the guys from Toronto, they will certainly be shown the blue flag soon, as Thessaloniki is struggling to keep the car going in the same section of the track.
And Thessaloniki being shown the last lap board as they come around with a car that doesn't sound like it's at 100%. Let's give them a big round of applause, hope they can get around this last lap now.
Yeah, the Thessaloniki car, I could clearly hear it. I think it is stuck in gear, so they should be able to finish on the last lap.
Although it looks like they're still going.
Yeah, Toronto's first lap of an 89.5, of course, hampered a little bit by being stuck behind Nuremberg. Although, yeah, they're now stuck behind Thessaloniki again. And keep stalling and starting back up again.
Fast Forest Racing is pulled quite a ways off the track. The attractive system light is still on, but it's not looking very promising for them. They're being waved around the outside.
The car is still under power, though. as Arnim comes through with a 94.135, which is their fastest lap time so far. Nicely consistent times for the second driver as well so far.
Come on, Thessaloniki, this is your last lap. Come on.
It looks like Deggendorf's tractive system light is now off.
I think I see officials pushing the Thessaloniki car, which is never a good sign though.
Maybe he will be allowed to restart the car. I think he is.
He's allowed to try by all appearances. He only needs half a lap. Toronto, meanwhile, is really flying out there, but they're being shown a yellow flag because Deggendorf is stuck outside the track again.
So
Nürnberg is going quite slow. They might just be... No, they've actually come to a full halt.
Oh, and Toronto takes out a few cones as they go around the horseshoe. They're still going.
Arnhem being shown the yellow flags, being asked to go around the track to avoid Nürnberg, who are now in the middle of the road.
The
As Deggendorf rejoins as well,
again.
right in front of Arnhem. That's quite unfortunate. As Toronto now comes through in what might be, well, it's still not a representative time, of course, as they were stuck behind Thessaloniki for quite a while. They'll be eager to show what they can do. Meanwhile, Arnhem is waiting for Deggendorf to... yeah, Deggendorf is being pulled off the track again, and Arnhem now has free space again.
And Nuremberg is still stopped at the track as well.
Yeah, it really doesn't look good for the Thessaloniki car. On their last lap, half a lap away from home. Yeah, they are being pushed now. I fear this will be the end of their endurance.
But everybody give them a big round of applause for such a hard-fought effort.
They were very close.
Looks like the Nuremberg car is also being pushed off the side of the track by the officials. So give them a big round of applause as well. They've not quite been able to finish, but still a good effort from them as well.
Deggendorf still moving as well.
Yeah, so we've just been confirmed that indeed the Thessaloniki car now indeed has a DNF. Half a lap away from home. That's so sad for the team, but it's a really good effort, I think. So maybe next year they come back and finish the endurance again.
And Toronto's really pushing. He's sliding through the corners. He looks like the driver's having a very good time out there.
Yeah, a large improvement for them, 83.13. Meanwhile, the Deggendorf guys, they're in a pretty serious situation considering that they still need 3.5 laps. It seems very unlikely that they will be able to complete that. Meanwhile, the Arnhem car suffered about 20 seconds of delay due to being stuck.
Sorry to interrupt, Thijs. The car that has been waiting at the starting line for quite a while, Theo Ilmenau, car number 31, now is allowed to join the track. And big cheers from the crowds for Ilmenau.
Yep, that makes for 4 electric teams that have taken part in the endurance so far. As one of the other electric cars we've seen before, car number 32, Terrassa is about to rejoin after a successful driver change. We'll have to wait for Arnhem to pass first, as Deggendorf, I think, is now being pushed away and will, I assume, be DNF'd, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to see what happened to the car from Deggendorf. They were slowing down already considerably. Was it an a drained battery, do you think, Thijs?
That might have been the case. It's hard to judge because I have no idea what sort of safety systems they have implemented. It was interesting that the track assist active light was on throughout the entire session, I think, even though they stopped for a couple of times.
And UPC Terrassa back on track after their pit stop, so they're going again. And Toronto is still drifting around the course.
Toronto putting in some very good lap times actually, but they have had some, well, some problems with overtaking and stalling cars. So the average lap times unfortunately do not resemble at the moment the quality of the car, I think.
I just had a little word with the driver from the Nuremberg car. He wasn't quite sure what the issue was. He just said that the car turned off and they were unable to restart it, unfortunately.
So some things happening in the queue here. It appears that car 297 is being pulled out again. All the cars have to back up. I'm not sure whether it's 248 or 297, but I do believe it to be 297, the green car from Schweinfurt, that has to give it away its spot to Uni Bochum.
Meanwhile, car 246 from Arnhem has just set their fastest lap once again in 94.118.
So in the car, in the queue, the first up is 297, then Uni Bochum 248. After that, UPP Paderborn, followed by Moscow.
Toronto with another lap in the 83-second range.
I just had a word with the Deggendorf driver as well. He didn't think it was a battery problem. He was pretty sure that was fine. However, they seem to have suffered from over temperature issues. It is, of course, quite hot here. Not all teams will have had the opportunity to test under similar circumstances. I think the weather forecast for today was about 29 degrees, so unfortunately this was a bit too much for their car.
The driver from Ilmenau has a bit of a spin coming around the end of the lap. He's managed to keep going, but the car does make a very interesting noise as he goes around the corners, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
So indeed, car 297 from Schweinfurt is being pulled out of the queue, which means the next in line will be Uni Bochum. I'm not quite sure what the officials will do with UAS Schweinfurt giving up their spot. I do not know if they are allowed to run again or get a time penalty.
Yeah, they might be able to get in the run at a later stage today, but they will certainly suffer the 120-second penalty in that case. Meanwhile, Arnhem coming through in a 93.045. Pretty big improvement for them as they enter their very last lap. So give it up for Arnhem. They're on their very last lap on their very first event ever. Getting pretty close to finishing all 4 dynamic events on their very first event ever.
That would be some performance. Some teams take years and years and years before they even have a reliable car to finish their endurance, and Arnhem is really flying out there. Half a lap from home. Can they make it on their very first event ever? Let's find it out.
Yeah, I just had a word with the first driver, and he said that they had decided just not to push at all. So he's driving quite civilized, let's say, just trying to keep it clean and consistent.
But they still are setting some reasonable lap times and not holding anybody up, and they're even passing some cars. So I'd say it's been a very good job for them so far.
Yep, especially with some of the issues they've had. For example, you might have noticed that the car rolls a little bit, and it also pitches quite a bit when braking into corners. They had a very nice concept for their suspension with a local company. They developed something, a sort of active suspension system. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, and the dampers are now completely passive, but not quite suited for passive usage. However, as Toronto closes in on Terrassa, Arnhem will certainly steer clear of those 2 cars because they're about to be shown the finish flag, and they finish. Oh no! the driver is cheering because he finished endurance, but he forgets to pull into the driver change lane. So he must have noticed that he did finish, but he forgets to actually enter the driver change area. I'm not sure that will certainly be penalized in the efficiency event. He might get away with it without any time penalties, but
I think considering the performance, he just required a victory lap.
I've got to say, looking at the timing screen, they're actually in 2nd place out of all the teams that have finished endurance so far. So very good run for them. And the driver clearly celebrating, enjoying himself.
I gotta say, I'm not sure I've ever seen this before. A driver electing to take a victory lap. He must be enjoying himself quite a bit out there.
It is a well-deserved victory lap.
He better make sure that he finishes this lap, though, because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen if he doesn't make it back. But so far, it's looking good. Only half a lap away.
So meanwhile, the last lap is being shown for Toronto, which is really throwing the car around.
Yeah, Toronto's really sliding up and down as Arnhem is coming in now, hopefully for their actual. Yes, they have now successfully entered the driver change area. I'm going to see if I can get a little word in with the driver, who very victoriously slams his car and revs the engine a bit more for good measure.
Yeah, get in there, Thijs. Let's see if we can get a word from this fresh first-year team.
And there's yellow flags on course as car 248 has slowed. It appears to be being worked on by the officials.
And also Paderborn has joined the track now. UPB Paderborn has joined the track.
Car 248 is the car from Bochum. And
spinning here, Ilmenau, just before the start-finish line. I think no issues there, just he overdrove it a little bit. Coming back on track. This will be off course, because he is not entering the track at the same spot as which he exited it. But nevertheless, he's back on track and going strong.
Looks like Bochum's car is rolling once again. He looks to rejoin the track, and he's rolling and moving once again at a normal speed.
So Thijs, I see you with the Arnhem team giving fist bumps. Do you have some words yet?
Looks to me like the driver is still trying to compose himself. We may need to give them another minute or two before they're ready to speak.
So Bochum crossing the line in a 160.902.
So at this moment in time, Steph, can we say that Arnhem is the top Dutch team in endurance this year?
Yes, we can say that. While Paderborn completes his first lap in a very fast 86.6. So let's see what the car can do in the further laps.
Yeah, the Arnhem driver required to go to refueling first, so I'm sure we'll get in a word in a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure the car is quite empty with the extra lap, Thijs. So I'm standing here with Mickey, who has seen a couple more Formula Students events than as I have. Mickey, have you ever seen a driver take a parade lap after the endurance?
Yes, in fact, many times. I think every year we see one or two guys just missing the left turn and go on the next lap. Obviously, it doesn't give you any penalties unless it's only for fuel, because they will measure the fuel that you've used, and every lap that you drive extra is at your own cost.
Yeah, I don't think the Arnhem team will really care about the fuel. They managed to complete the endurance, and I saw them being very, very happy. So good work for them.
All right, I'm here with the Arnhem driver, who just finished the second stint of the car. So Igor, I saw you do a little victory lap afterwards. I saw you coming over the line with your fist pumping in the air. How did it feel out there?
It felt absolutely great. We had a very safe strategy with the team overall. We tried to go very safe and very slow, keep the car steady. Because
sorry
as
to
a beginner
interrupt.
team went through a lot of troubles, and this car is worth absolutely everything for us at the moment. So we had a result, we had a goal to finish all of the dynamic events at Formula Student Team Germany, and I think we've accomplished that. So it feels absolutely great. It's been a tough year of work, and we've made what we wanted.
Great, congratulations, guys. Steph, what's up?
Yeah, it seems that one car is being pulled off, driver hitting the steering wheel. They were in the overtaking lane, given the blue flag. I believe it to be the Uni Bochum. And the driver is now exiting the car, and yes, indeed, it is the car 248 from Bochum, which is now unfortunately also a DNF. So the car had to slow down in the overtaking lane and was not picking speed back up again, unfortunately.
And I've just heard behind us in the pit box, Toronto's car has fired back up, and they're getting ready to rejoin the circuit.
So next in line, Moscow joining the track. Car number 220, the black and blue car from Moscow, has joined the track, while car 339 from Toronto is also approaching the starting line again, about to get the green flag for their second run.
We've had a few questions on the live stream about which other Indian teams are getting ready to participate. As far as I can see from the announcer stand, I see the Manipal University car 296 has just entered the very entry of the dynamics area, so I think they're preparing for a run soon. That's the only other Indian team I can see at the moment, though.
Let's see what a second Toronto driver can do. The car really flying from the starting line. Let's see if he's even faster than the first one. Well, meanwhile, UAS Ulm, car number 244. I hear the engine running, so I expect him to come to the green flag soon. So we see a yellow flag situation. No, it's gone. It's because of the Ilmenau car. Did you already comment on that, Austin? The green car from Ilmenau seems to have stopped, car number 31.
I didn't notice that stuff. No, I was looking at the pit stop area behind us. So that was a good spot from your point of view.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what is wrong. I don't see the T-sol blinking. From this angle, it's quite difficult to see. The car's outside of the track and it has stalled. Okay, so I was just informed by the officials that it seems that the seat belt of the Ilmenau car has opened and they are now about to close it again. I'm not quite sure if the car is allowed to continue their run. I see Mickey nodding, so I think they are allowed to continue when the seat belt is back on again.
Toronto have just completed their 10th lap, the first lap for their new driver. It's an 88.96.
Getting the checkered flag now is Terrassa, and I do believe they completed the endurance. Yes, they have, so very good work from them. And I also believe it's the first electric car to complete endurance, so fist bumps are everywhere. The team is very happy.
Everybody give them a big round of applause for finishing endurance.
Yeah, that means that until now, the top electric car in the endurance event is the team from Terrassa. Very good work from them. Meanwhile, UAS Ulm has joined the track, car number 244, UAS Ulm, going on their first lap.
As Ulm pulls off, I smell lots of fuel. They're running very rich as well.
Yes, it's not good for the fuel economy, but it sure gives a nice smell.
Oh, and Toronto takes out some cones in the cone killer chicane, very aptly named.
Yeah, I think he missed his braking point here. So we still have the yellow flag situation going on with Ilmenau, who are now back on track, getting back on track. So very good for them. So give him a big cheer. Ilmenau back on track.
I was following the Ilmenau team as we left the paddock yesterday to go back to the hotel, and they've got a very impressive pit cart named Gilbert. It's got flowers on the back and LED lights so they could see where they were going as well.
Yeah, I think they can use Gilbert at the moment, because I do fear they will get a meatball flag in order to double check whether everything is okay. It will not necessarily mean a DNF, it's just a double check by the scrutineers to see whether the car is safe.
And Ulm comes around to complete their first lap, 89.74 seconds.
Yeah, Yeah, so scrutineers here at the Ilmenau car checking indeed the driver harness, which is of course is very important for driver safety overall. This is really a double check, so I expect them to be allowed to continue. Tractive system active light is still on, and indeed scrutineers are pointing out Ilmenau is back on track, so the double check is okay.
Gilbert did his job.
Yes, thank you, Gilbert.
Of course, the Ilmenau team will have lost quite a lot of time by the situation by the side of the track. Fortunately for them, this meatball situation does not cost any more time. However, currently on the track, we see, I think that's... Which car is that?
Yeah, we just introduced it. It is the black and yellow car from Ulm, which you mean, presumably, Thijs.
No, it looks like Baumann Racing.
Yeah, it's the guy from Moscow. They were stalled on the track.
So Marshall's approaching the car from Moscow, which restarts. So back on track for Moscow, car 220. Meanwhile, approaching the starting line, another top UK team, car number 250 from Brunel University, Uxbridge, followed by UAS Gießen next in line.
We've just had a question come through on the live stream about what happened to car 248 from Bochum. We're not 100% sure from up here. It pulled off to the side. It doesn't look like there's any external damage.
Yeah,
well,
the car I saw was of course indicated to slow down, and it simply couldn't pick up any speed anymore. But I will check whether we can get some additional information about the Bochum car.
Ilmenau now being shown the last lap board, so that's good news for them.
Yeah, so about the Bochum car, I'm standing here with Mickey, who has a little bit more information. Mickey, the Bochum car, we're in the overtaking lane.
Yeah, it seems, but these are unconfirmed official messages, is that the engine stalled and couldn't get it restarted. The driver tried for a couple of minutes, but just couldn't get it restarted. I'm not sure what the technical difficulty was there.
No, okay, thank you for that. So that's the update on the DNF from Bochum.
Meanwhile, yellow flags waving as the guys from Moscow is having some difficulty. They have slowed down now, picked up speed again. I think they will be shown the blue flag at the next overtaking zone, such that Brunel can overtake them. Pretty close by behind them.
So the Toronto, the second driver, clearly is a little bit slower than the first one. It's the gap is about 3 to 5 seconds, so it can indicate mechanical issues, but I think it is the driver.
And the Brunel comes around to finish their first lap with a time of 92.8 seconds.
Yeah, the Moscow car 220, was being told to wait a little bit longer in the overtaking lane, such that Ilmenau could overtake car 31, who have immediately pulled into the driver change area for their driver change.
Yeah, and they were shortly followed by Uni Paderborn. So Ilmenau and Paderborn now in driver change. I can see a big team with green shirts approaching the fences. That must be Ilmenau. I don't see Gilbert, however. Where's Gilbert? So I think they will be quite anxious to see whether the car can go again. Of course, they have had a meatball flag. There were no issues found there. So I don't expect any issues for the car number 31. And I'm quite sure they will be allowed to continue with their second driver. So both the driver changes of Paderborn and Ilmenau look very steady, quiet, no stress. They have practiced it, I think. For the Ilmenau car, the second driver is strapped in. No scrutineering checks anymore. For the Paderborn car, there's still one scrutineer looking at the back of the car. No, two it are actually, but no signs of any problems yet.
Both Toronto and Brunel have come around for another lap, both relatively uneventfully so far.
Yeah, for the Ilmenau team, the issues with the seatbelt seems to have cost them about 5 minutes by the side of the track. Other than that, their speeds were actually pretty good. Lapping around times of 90 seconds for each lap, nicely and consistently. Let's hope their second driver can match those and take the car home.
So Uni Paderborn is allowed to go. The cone is being taken away. The driver now attempting to start the car. Yeah, it's on.
This is probably a good time to mention the jacking bar of the Paderborn team, Steph.
Is this one of those topology optimized jacking bars, Thijs?
Yeah, it's a very distinctive feature. I was told by one of the team members that he has actually spent 3 days on with some pretty sophisticated topology optimization software to get the perfect layout for their jacking bar. As he's struggling slightly, the driver now, to keep the car running. Let's hope they can make it out of the driver change area okay.
Yeah, so he's trying to shift, I believe, to get it into gear or to pick up the clutch. He's fiddling with his left hand.
Yeah, he doesn't get the car in gear, I don't think.
Toronto has just completed their 16th lap, a very consistent run for the second driver. All the laps have been within a few seconds of one another.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Ilmenau team, I could clearly hear the sound on the car. Team members, of course, not allowed to touch the car, so...
I can hear the huffs and puffs of what I think is a pneumatic shifting system, but apparently isn't able currently to get it into first gear.
So the Ilmenau car is going again. So happy times for Gilbert. Let's see when they will get a green flag. Maybe they will wait for the car from Ulm to approach first. I think they have to wait first. Driver fiddling a little bit with his visor and helmet, but he's ready to go now. So the green guys from Ilmenau back to the fence to see the car from Ilmenau, car number 31, back on track.
Yeah, the guys from Paderborn still frantically trying to get the car in gear.
Yes, pneumatic clutches and or shifters. That's sometimes a bit tricky to get reliable.
And Ilmenau back on track for the second half of their endurance run.
Yeah, it's very good for them to see.
University of Toronto comes around to start their last lap. Everybody cheer them on as they get around one last time to finish their endurance.
I'm afraid that the car 258 from Paderborn is being shown by the officials that they will no longer be allowed to restart. The car was actually started, but they will no longer be allowed to rejoin the track. It is unfortunately a DNF for them as they were unable to get the car in gear.
I think I've just seen the car from Moscow, the Baumann racing team, enter the pit lane as well. Can you confirm that, Thijs?
Thijs can't, but I can. Indeed, the Moscow team is currently in the pits.
And to my right, I can see car 221 from UAS Gießen ready to enter the track as soon as they get given the green flag. The car is running and driver seems calm. And they're off.
Yeah, it's very sad for the Paderborn team. They were putting out some very consistent and fast laps out there, all around the 83 mark. Give them a big hand. I'm sure they would have gone great in the second stint. So understandably, the drivers look very frustrated. It's a very bad way to go out of the endurance.
So Thijs, one look up for you. We see a car approaching I have not seen before, car number 34 with a golden, well, let's say aluminum foil at the chassis. Which team is this?
Well, I think hidden beneath that is the Ingolstadt team, but I might be wrong. They have transformed their car to now look like a Moonlander or something.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but University of Toronto has just taken the checkered flag and finished endurance successfully. Everybody give Toronto a big round of applause. A great run from them. Very consistent from both drivers. Didn't hit many cones, and a good, clean run from them.
Yeah, I think they're the second fastest time so far overall, after only the Constance team from a bit earlier.
Yeah, the Toronto team flying the distinct maple leaf, as we all could have seen. It's a great car. Good to see them finish. So first lap, I think, for UAS Gießen. Let's see what the times will be. Oh, a very good 85.4. Wow.
About the Moonlander look off Ingolstadt. They're now removing the wrapping, so it's probably only to keep the car cool, or at least as cool as possible while in line. They will, of course, not be allowed to drive with loose gold foil on the car.
So, one other UK team approaching. They did very well in the autocross yesterday. It's the University of Liverpool, car number 241, also joining the battle for best UK team.
Yes, and as you said, that Brunel have just set their fastest lap on their last lap time in 84.4. Oh, sorry, I misread that. That was from Ulm. Brunel just with a 91.9.
And you can clearly see the University of Liverpool car by the Union Jack flying on the rear wing.
One of the few teams here to drive on Avon tires.
And the Liverpool driver really giving it the beans as he sets off after he takes the green flag sideways through the first two corners. Now pulling into the pits for their pit stop. A bit of a backfire, but the car looking all right.
Yeah, Thijs just told me we're not really allowed to say backfires because it's a fire that comes back through the intake. So let's just refer it as bangs from the exhaust next time.
All right, I like that technical term. Bangs from the exhaust.
As long as Thijs agrees, I'm quite happy with it. So we can hear a car restarting here, or at least trying to restart. It's the car from Moscow. Engine doesn't seem to pick up. We can hear the start motor turning the engine. Scrutineer indicating a kill sign, actually. Turning off the main kill switch, so I believe that will be a DNF for Moscow. Unfortunately, not able to restart at the driver change.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
So meanwhile, UAS also, oh wait, there were the guys that went in with the bang. They were already there.
The driver from Liverpool is really pushing on as he starts his second lap. He's revving the engine a bit sideways, trying to get some heat into the tires, I suppose. And the driver for Gießen locks up into the final corner, but keeps it on track and finishes another lap.
So the Battle of Britain is really started because also the University of Hertfordshire is joining the track here.
Yeah, I'd say it's a British invasion of sorts here at Hockenheim. We're not going to have three British cars on track all at once, with Hertfordshire joining Brunel and Liverpool, and they're given the green flag. Cautiously enters the track.
So can they match the Brooks time, which is currently still, I believe, the fastest time on track, at least the fastest lap time. So really to see the battle for the fastest British time so far, and even maybe the fastest time of the day.
Yep, of course, the Oxford Brook guys had some trouble with the gear shifts, but their fastest individual lap time is still by far the fastest so far, with a 77.86. I believe that might be the only time below 80 seconds so far we've seen.
And Liverpool gets past Brunel in the passing area.
So also the UAS Ulm car is trying to restart, and yes, they managed. So they will be allowed to go to approach the starting line for the second stint.
Gießen still improving. Now it's an 80.04. They might soon be the second team to join the sub-80 group.
Yep, after UAS Ulm, we also will see TU Bruno back on track, followed by Isat Nevers.
There is a car stopped, it looks like Ilmenau. Have we spoken about that already? The marshals are pushing it the wrong way along the back of the track.
It was just behind the sign for us. We really couldn't see it from here. I think we missed it maybe.
So it looks like Ilmenau won't be finishing endurance, but it's been a very good effort for them. It's a fun team to talk to, and everybody give them a round of applause, please. Meanwhile, Ulm is back out after their pit stop, and Hertfordshire comes around to finish their first lap. Hertfordshire actually finished 7th overall here last year, so looking to repeat that good performance. Looks like Liverpool's slowing down slightly. They were going past Brunel at the beginning of this lap, but now both Brunel and Giesen have caught up to them.
Yeah, I'm pretty
like
sure there's something wrong. I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with the rear right tire of, or right wheel, I should say, of the Liverpool car. They're about to be shown the meatball flag now as they pass the driver change area.
Yeah, it's showing really a very strange camber. I think this might be a suspension failure, Thijs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. As Brunel come in for the driver change, and scrutineers are about to find out what's going on with the rear right suspension at the Liverpool car. They were only on their 3rd lap just now, having slowed significantly.
Yeah, we just got word indeed that it's a right rear suspension failure. Car also is now being pushed out of the dynamic, unfortunately. So I think they had 2 laps in, so unfortunately for them, 3 laps in. Unfortunately for them, they were not able to complete endurance.
Now on track, Hertfordshire looks quite quick. They've already caught up to Ulm, who's being shown the blue flag.
Yeah, Ulm on their 1st lap after driver change, quite a bit slower than the Hertfordshire car.
It looks like Hertfordshire has quite a bit of open track in front of them, so they should be able to set a competitive lap time here.
Yeah, even while being held up, they still put down 85.6. I'm sure they can shave off quite a few seconds over that. Let's see if they can come closer to the sub-80 times of Oxford Brooks.
Yeah, meanwhile here in the queue, I could clearly hear the car from Bruno starting. Car number 299 from Bruno. They have to wait a little bit for the, I think that's the Giesen car, yeah, to the Giesen car to pass in order to approach the starting grid.
Giesen driver fighting pretty hard with the car. He's not quite beaten the 80-second mark as the car from Bruno enters the track.
Car called Dragon 6. You can see the dragon spitting flames on the rear wing of the car.
Yeah, so that would be the black and white car that just joined the track from Bruno Czech he is, right? Czech, yeah, Czech team. So it is maybe a good time to give an update about the queue. First up is Isat Nevers, while Brunel is restarting, by the way. Followed by UAS Kempton. Then I see Ingolstadt, and then a white car, which I cannot see the number from this angle.
Hertfordshire's last time an improvement in 82.6. Still not quite as quick as Oxford Brooks, but getting slightly closer, about 5 seconds off the pace now. Important feature of the Hertfordshire car is the very bright brake light. As he's going around the track, have a look and see how nice the brake light looks. It's very detailed and complicated, and they spent quite a bit of time getting it just right.
It's easily the best British brake light here. And speaking of British teams, here is Brunel, car 250, about to rejoin the track after a successful driver change.
While I can clearly hear the car from Isat Nevers that has started, so also about to approach the starting line, the team from France, Magnicourt. Yeah, it's a Flying Dragon, 86.5 on their very first lap, so that's a very good time from Bruno.
The driver from Hertfordshire really pushing, locking up as he gets around the last part of the course.
Yeah, let's see how he manages to negotiate those corners here, which are very tricky. Here the cone killer.
A little bit closer to the 80-second mark still. It's 81.78 for them now. As Giesen is being held up by Ulm quite a bit.
So meanwhile, ready to go for the driver change. I don't know exactly which team, but a driver here really pumping himself up and getting the adrenaline that he will need for his second run.
Yeah, that cost the Giesen driver about 5.5 seconds, although he did in fact manage on the previous lap to beat the 80-second mark, thereby joining Oxford Brooks in that group.
Yeah, so the second driver from Gießen really looks like he's going to enjoy himself. Let's see what he can do, if he can beat the time of the first driver.
Renault looks to be going quite quick visually. How does it look on the timing screen, guys?
Joining track now, the only French team we have here, ISAT Nevers.
Car 268 going up to start quite enthusiastically. Remarkably, the fastest car on track right now, the team from Gießen with another 80.89. It's also the only car that does not have any aerodynamic elements. So that just goes to show that it doesn't automatically make you all that much faster, or at least not by itself. They're currently in the driver change area.
Renault now being shown the blue flag so that Renault can get past.
It's an 82.7, so 1 second slower. Maybe he was held up a bit. I'm quite curious to see whether Bruno also can beat the 80-second mark. I believe they can if I can see the potential of this car. While ISAT crosses the line for the first lap in 89.2.
Car 323 just started their engine. It's the guys from Kempton with the asymmetric paint job. They are both a blue car as well as a red car, depending on which side you're looking at them. They've been shown the green flag and they have now successfully joined the action on the track.
So Ulm crosses the line in the 90.3. They have 4 laps left to go.
So Hertfordshire has slowed down a little bit over the last couple of laps. Each lap 1 second slower than the previous one. Let's see if they can pick up the speed.
Yeah, also ISAT crosses the line with a 6-second improvement compared to the previous time. I have to say all the cars right now on track are really on par within a 2 to 3 second bandwidth of another.
Yes, they're all very consistent. They're all running very clean as well. This is the first time we've had any period of time without cars stopping or slowing or hitting cones. So it's a good run at the moment. Although I do see a yellow flag being waved behind the screen. I can't see why. It's on the other side of the wall. It looks like the Ulm car may have been temporarily stopped, but it's once again moving.
So an interesting fact about the French team from ISAT Nevers. The team consists of 30 team members who are all first-year students, which is quite amazing if you ask me, really considering the effort that goes into building such a car. And also what is quite good, in the past they have had some reliability issues, but this year they seem to have quite some, well, steady performance at all the dynamic events. So that's very good improvement for them this year.
And by first-year students, you mean, I presume, first-year students on a team?
No, I do believe that I could read in the magazine also that there are actually first-year students in their curriculum.
That is very impressive. As Hatfield, Hertfordshire enters their final lap, first driver. Their lap time is now quite a bit more consistent, all in the 83s.
And Kempton takes out a cone on the final corner of the track, but keeps going.
So meanwhile, on the queue, we have in front car number 34, an electric car from Ingolstadt, followed by a combustion car, car number 340 from Istanbul, Turkey. After that, the Hungarian team from Győr, if I pronounce correctly. We got some comments about pronouncing it like Győr, but it's apparently something like Győr. Followed by the first US team on track today, the Auburn team, car 211.
Car from Hertfordshire catching up to the Ulm car very quickly. I don't think they're gonna be allowed to overtake, and Hertfordshire is actually about to be pulled into the pits for the driver change. They are currently the fastest British team on track.
We've got a few comments on the live stream. Somebody's asked if the Belgian team is in the queue. I can look over and see they're not in the queue, but I can see them parked in the dynamics area, so they're certainly over here preparing to get a run in soon. And also have some support for ISAT from Lucas on the live stream. So we have some fans watching online, ISAT. The ISAT driver is really pushing around the last bit of the course. He's just missing some cones, some precision driving from him.
Yeah, and also a very good sign for the Ulm team. They are about to get the last lap sign. So the black and yellow car here, about to enter the last lap. Let's give him a big cheer.
In the pits behind us, it looks like the second driver is being strapped into the car from Hertfordshire. All looks to be going to plan so far.
So meanwhile, Giesen really impressing me on track. I'm wanting to see whether the second driver also can get sub 80 times. So also the team from Bruno gets the last lap sign for the driver change.
Lining up for the starting line is car 34 from Ingolstadt. They were the car with the Moonlander package before, trying to keep the car cool. It's quite a dark car.
So on the front of the car, I believe it is to be a Panther. Is that correct, Austin?
Yes, it is a Panther indeed. The Panther is a symbol of the city of Ingolstadt. They've decided to incorporate it into the team livery as well this year.
So meanwhile, on the far end of the track, I do see a yellow flag situation. And is it the black and yellow car from Ulm in their last lap? I certainly don't hope so.
That looks like it's the same exact spot they stopped a few laps ago, and there's a yellow flag that we couldn't see. The officials seem to be talking to the driver.
So the driver is out. So unfortunately, I believe in their last lap, this will be a DNF for Ulm. So very sad for them.
Yeah, it looks to be meters away from the spot where Thessaloniki earlier on, the other yellow and black car, stalled in also their last lap. That's very sad indeed.
Yeah, I'm quite eager to know. We should check during lunch whether that is actually a spot with a big bump in it or something like that. That may have some issues, something to do with it.
Yep, as the guys from Ingolstadt join the track.
And Hertfordshire has successfully refired after their pit stop. They're lining up to take the green flag for the second half of their endurance run.
Yep, the DNF for Ulm has unfortunately been confirmed, as Hertfordshire are about to take the green flag. And they're off again. Now you may remember that the Oxford Brooks car was the fastest all out in one lap, but considering the fact that they had quite some issues with shifting, Hertfordshire right now are on their way to become the fastest British team to finish the endurance. Of course, for that they'll still have to cover 8.5 more laps. The previous driver was running nicely consistently around the 83-second mark, as Ingolstadt are about to come through in their first lap. Looks very fast, and it's an 88.28.
So the last lap sign for Isat for the driver change, while Brunel finishes the endurance. Very good performance from them.
Meanwhile, the team from Brno, from the Czech Republic, after finishing their first 9 laps, were in the driver change area. Unfortunately, we can see them being pushed away now. We're going to find out what's going on with that. I do think that will be a DNF for them.
And
that means that Brunel is the 7th team today to finish.
So I'm standing here with Mickey, one of the scrutineers, who can tell me a little bit more about what happened with the car from Brno.
Yeah, unfortunately they had an oil leak, so the scrutineers had no options but to give them a DNF. It's very sad for the team. They were doing quite well.
Yeah, so unfortunately this year not in a finish for the endurance. So I hope they will come back next year to try it again.
got an update on the car from Chennai, which has been asked about on the live stream. I can see them in queue to get some petrol for their car. So it looks like everything is all right for them. I don't think they'll be running anytime soon, but there are no massive issues that I can see. Same thing for Manipal. They're about 2 cars ahead of Chennai in the queue for petrol. So they're both planning on running. They'll just be running slightly out of order from what was published.
Car 279 from Győr, from Hungary, is about to join the track as they wait for Kempton to pass by. The officials might elect to wait until Ingolstadt has passed as well. Ingolstadt really had a pretty big improvement last time around. Let's see how fast they are now. It's actually almost exactly the same time as previously. Apparently their power settings are currently such that they can run consistent 83.77 laps.
And Győr really flying here. So we're starting to smell here also the petrol from the Győr car, which just here passed by. I think it's running very rich.
University of Hertfordshire car now in their 13th lap. Their second driver has built up a little bit of speed, but been very consistent. Most of his laps are around the 83-second mark.
Yeah, and UAS Gießen have received their last lap sign. So the white car, who is now passing the Volkswagen stand, is on his last lap. So give them a big cheer.
Second driver has been pretty consistent as well, lapping around the 82, 83 second mark. A little bit slower than the first driver, who did manage to have a couple of 80-second laps and even one below the 80-second mark.
And US Kempton has come in for their pit stop, the first driver getting out.
Ingolstadt again with an 83. As Jur is flying past on his first lap.
So let's see what the Hungarian team can do on their first lap.
It's an 86.45.
Meanwhile, Gießen on their last lap, just 3 or 4 corners to go. Come on. Yes, they are definitely going to make it now. Give them a big cheer. Finish flag for UAS Gießen, car number 221 to complete the endurance.
Yep, and with that, they are the 8th car of the day to finish, and also by some margin, the fastest car that has finished the endurance. They're also quite a little bit faster, by about a second, than the average lap time of Hertfordshire so far. Of course, Hertfordshire still has a number of laps to finish.
So up next at the green, the starting line is Uni Auburn. I believe it's War Eagle Motorsports. Well, yesterday we asked you for the story and we have it here. So War Eagle Motorsports, Austin, what can you tell about it?
Just give me a second. I'm bringing up the tweet we got yesterday from one of their fans.
Yeah, your iPad was struggling a little bit.
Yeah, we got a tweet from Linda Campbell, so thank you very much, Linda, for clearing this up for us. War Eagle is Auburn's battle cry. It's not a mascot or nickname. The story about how the name came about dates back to the first time that Auburn met Georgia in an American football game in 1892 as Auburn takes the green flag. There was a spectator who was a veteran of the American Civil War, and with him there was an eagle the old soldier had found on the battlefield during the war. He kept it as a pet for 30 years, and the eagle broke free from him, and as the eagle soared, Auburn made a miraculous comeback in the football game. As this happened, the fans began to chant War Eagle. At the game's end, the eagle took a sudden dive, crashed into the ground, and died. But the battle cry War Eagle lived on to become a symbol of the proud Auburn spirit. And that's where the name of Auburn's War Eagle Motorsport comes from, Steph.
Thank you, Austin, for this quite elaborate lesson in history, and also the name War Eagle Motorsports.
Yeah, it wasn't quite extensive enough for them to actually finish their first lap, but they're actually almost getting close through the last 3 corners. As Jur is about to come flying by for the 3rd time in another slight improvement of 83.3. Ingolstadt, meanwhile, impressively very consistent. Slight improvement over the previous time, and 82.56 just now.
There is a second version of the War Eagle story, but it's quite long as well. So we'll let you look at our Twitter at FSG Live. We've retweeted both tweets from Linda Campbell yesterday, so you can read for yourself the alternate story for how the name War Eagle came about.
So meanwhile, I was just updated that the team from France, unfortunately, is not allowed to restart again because they lost their head restraint. So unfortunately, also a DNF from Isat Nevers. It's quite a sad thing because they were very reliable in past events, or at least this year. So it's quite a shame for them not to be able to finish. Nevertheless, a very good performance this year from the team from France.
Yeah, that's massively disappointing, and it seems like it wasn't a sort of a serious mechanical failure in anything, just the small cushion behind the driver's head that got dislodged and was lost on the track. So massively disappointing for them, but great effort. They were really flying out there. As the guys from McGill are about to join the action, another Canadian team. Ver's lap times were actually pretty comparable to the likes of Hertfordshire, who just put out an 82.2. Their fastest lap time so far is an 81.58 as they enter their second to last corner lap, that is.
Yeah, meanwhile the Kempton car, the driver really throwing the car around. It's quite spectacular driving there, but unfortunately they are being catched, I believe, by Auburn, so they will get a blue flag anytime soon.
You can see the Hertfordshire driving, pushing much harder than he was earlier on in his run. He's starting to take out a few cones every lap. In the horseshoe, I've seen him take out a few the past few laps.
See another last lap sign incoming. It's for the car from Ingolstadt, so that's their last lap before the driver change.
Ingolstadt yet again with another 83.49, super consistent. I think this is another example of an electric car that's performing slightly below what the car has in terms of mechanical rip, but it will be limited in terms of how much power the driver has at his disposal. That does mean that he doesn't have to drive in the limit and can just do very consistent, nice laps. As Hertfordshire is being shown the last lap sign, the driver now clearly pushing, but also taking out quite a couple of cones, as Austin mentioned before. I do think that'll cost him in the final time when we look at it net. McGill, meanwhile, in their first lap in the third to last corner.
Yeah, so also a really good side to watch is the team from Brno. The car is really throwing, the driver's really throwing the car around. You can see it slipping and sliding at several places now in the midsection. It's very fun to watch. The driver looks really enjoying himself.
It's a 91.74 for the Montreal team on their first lap.
Again, a big power slide from the Hungarian team through the slalom here.
The Turkish team improved their best lap on the previous lap. It's a little bit slower now. Their best so far is an 84.48. As Ingolstadt pulls into the driver change area. A very nice, smooth run so far.
Meanwhile, Hertfordshire is navigating the last few corners of the course. They've just got to get through this last corner and they'll have finished endurance. Officials preparing the checkered flag. And car 207 from Hertfordshire gets the checkered flag and finishes endurance.
It's already the third British car to finish the endurance.
Everybody give them a big round of applause. A great run from Hertfordshire. They were very consistent and quick throughout that whole run. I think every lap was within about 5 seconds of one another.
So now that we have had, I think, all the UK teams here on track finishing, which was the fastest, Thijs?
Well, as always, that depends on how you look at it. If you look at the fastest lap time, it's clearly Oxford Brookes. However, for the overall time of the endurance, today it was clearly Hertfordshire. The Brunel guys, meanwhile, were very consistent as well. And the Liverpool guys had a pretty good start. Unfortunately, they couldn't continue in their second lap already, after their second lap. So that's all 4 British teams for today.
Also the team from Istanbul now getting the last lap sign, which is very good to see. The car driving around very reliably. It's very good to see. Let's see if they can keep it up in the second run after the driver change.
The driver for Jur clearly enjoying himself. He's sideways more than he's pointed straight forwards. He's very fun to watch these past few laps.
Yeah, I was just pointing that out also. You should really take a closer look at the driver from Hungary, from Jur. Especially in the slalom sections with the orange cones. You can see the tail of the car twisting and the driver throwing the car all places. Really cool to watch.
The driver from Kempton, meanwhile, has improved their best time by quite a bit. It's an 80.97 for them. Also approaching the 80-second mark.
So coming in for the checkered flag, I believe it will be the team from Istanbul coming in for the driver change. Yes, Yildiz Tiyou coming in for the driver change. And the last lap for the rally driver of Hungary, Győr. A car has stopped here on the end section. No yellow flag is being given. So the car has twisted 180 degrees just here before the start line. Hertfordshire is first to go round, but they're okay. Or it's not Hertfordshire, of course, it's Auburn. But for the Kempton car here, a cone is stuck under the left rear tire. So you can see it dragging a cone along, and it pops out over there.
Kempton driver still has 4 laps to go. As car 265 from UAS Rhein-Main is approaching the starting line.
So I believe the driver that had most fun today, the driver from Győr, is now done with his stint of the endurance. Let's see if the second driver also can amuse us that much. So the Auburn team really flying out here. Quite curious to see what their times are. They are in the 87 range, the last lap, fastest lap 81. I do believe that if the second driver can keep it cleaner a little bit, they can maybe even dip below the 80. So meanwhile, the team from Turkey is in the driver change, currently strapping in the second driver. Scrutineers around the car, they seem very relaxed. So I'm waiting to see them back on track again. So also joined the track is car number 265 from Wiesbaden, coming in right now. We missed the green flag, I believe, but they have finished their first lap at the moment. The black and yellow car with number 265.
Looks like the driver from Kempton is slowly catching back up to the Auburn car who passed him when Kempton spun out.
Yeah, I do believe the Auburn times have slowed down a little bit in the last recent laps. Maybe it's because the driver is overdriving it a little bit. He is slipping and sliding quite a lot. So now, yes, again, he will be overtaken by Kempton again. So meanwhile, Istanbul has restarted and approaches the starting line, waiting to get the green flag. They're off for the second stint. Team from Istanbul, Yildiz Tiyou, now crossing the main straight for the small grandstand. So next up in queue, first is TU Berlin, car 303. I can remember them having some difficulties in the past. They have quite remarkable transparent sides, so make sure to watch that. Meanwhile, the unit Győr is the second driver is in, making quite some noise actually, and now approaching the starting line back again. After TU Berlin, we have Eindhoven coming in.
The driver from McGill has been setting some very consistent lap times, although his last was his quickest with an 89.000 second lap, right on the dime. Auburn gets the flag to make their pit stop now.
Kempton has had a pretty nice consistent drive for most of the part now, and they are in their final lap. Also curious to see what Wiesbaden, car 265, will do in their third lap. They took out a pretty big chunk out of their first lap's time in the second lap. Currently an 81.9 for them. Let's see if they can improve on that. And it's an 81.27.
So also the Kempton car is going sideways quite a lot. It's really fun to watch. But he is keeping it quite clean, so no problems there in terms of cone. And I do believe also they will get the checkered flag. Yes, they will. So coming in to complete the endurance, car number 323, OAS Kempton. Very good performance from the team. And still driving here and crossing the line, the team from Ingolstadt. In what lap are they at the moment, Thijs?
Ingolstadt is sort of 3/4 way in their endurance. They're currently in their 14th lap, I believe.
The Panther having a good run so far then.
Yeah, their second driver hasn't been quite as consistent or as fast as the first one, but he's picking up speed a little bit now.
And TU Berlin exuberantly takes the green flag. Through the clear bodywork, I can confirm that once again the driver is wearing pants.
Yeah, and the guys of Auburn made a very quick pit stop as they're waiting for the green flag. First of all, it's going to be the guys from Montreal across the finish line in their second to last lap for a driver change. As Auburn is about to be shown the green flag. Nope. First, the car from Gior will be allowed to pass.
Yeah, I'm quite curious what this driver will do. He looks a bit less wild than the first one, so maybe it's also a little bit faster.
It's actually a little bit slower, by about 5 seconds even, as Auburn takes to the track again.
Yes, the War Eagle is here again. So first in line now for the new cars on track is Eindhoven, followed closely on the queue by, I believe that to be Monash.
Out here, Berlin making quite a lot of noise as they maneuver through the last corner of the last two corners of the track on their first lap.
Yeah, the team from TU Berlin showed quite some performance yesterday at the autocross. I do believe that they have struggled with reliability of the car the whole weekend, so I'm quite curious to see whether they will be able to finish the endurance today.
Yeah, driver fighting the wheel a little bit, braking into corners. It's a 90.3 for them in their first lap. Let's see if they can take out a little bit. Meanwhile, Wiesbaden has slowed down a little bit compared to their previous pace. It's now an 86.77.
So McGill already getting the checkered flag for that driver change.
McGill not particularly fast, but very consistent so far. Their fastest time so far was an 88.4. Last lap was an 89.8. Let's see if their driver change goes smooth.
And I'm pretty sure I just saw the Auburn driver drift the entire way around the slingshot. It was very impressive.
Ingolstadt, meanwhile, has slowed down a little bit. Not sure if they've been overtaken at some point or anything, but it was an 89 for them on their last lap. They only have 3 laps to go. They may also be simply conserving some energy towards the end of the endurance to make sure that they can finish.
So, Steph, there's lots of bangs coming from the TU Berlin car.
Yep, they're running very rich, I believe.
Yeah, Wiesbaden has picked up speed again at 81.9.
What we also can see quite clearly at this moment is that the track is starting to show some rubber. So over the course of the day, the track conditions will improve, so we will get to see faster times, not only due to the fact that the cars are faster, but also the track conditions are very much improving.
Giro are back on their pace again, or at least the pace of the second driver, lapping consistently around the 88-second mark. Looks like McGill have had a very efficient pit stop as well. Might be a bit of a North American skill. They'll have to wait a little bit though before TU Berlin has passed, and probably also Wiesbaden. And McGill are being shown the green flag, and they've rejoined the track. Now one North American team in pursuit of the other, as Auburn tries to close in on McGill.
McGill, of course, is from Montreal in Quebec. You can see that they've got the fleur de lis on the back of their car, symbol of their patriotic pride.
Yep, Auburn just became the third team of the day, by the way, to break into the 70-second mark. So I'm sure they're quite a bit faster than the Montreal car at the moment.
Steph just pointed out, and I tend to agree with him, the car from Dior has started to make a funny rattle over the past few laps, so we'll see how that develops.
Yeah, it's not so sort of a rattle, but it's more a high-pitched sound. I'm not quite sure what it is, actually.
Speaking of high-pitched sound, albeit far more subtle, the Ingolstadt car has, quite anonymously, by the lack of sound, managed to finish 17 laps, and they're now in their final lap. Give them a big hand as they pass the stands. Only half a lap away.
Lockup from the team from Istanbul, but they keep going and they don't hit any cones.
Oh, Ingolstadt has actually has stopped right next to the track. 2/3 on the way of their final lap. They were doing so well. They were very consistent so far. About to be the second team to finish the endurance in the lecture competition, and quite a bit faster than the first one, but it does look good right now.
Oh no, not again in the last lap. Come on, Ingolstadt. I certainly hope they will be able to make it start again.
Meanwhile, Wiesbaden has now made it to the pit stop, so they're halfway done with their endurance run.
So meanwhile, we see the Hungarian team overtaking the teams from Istanbul, and there's no movement yet from the blue car. So
Driver from Auburn is really pushing now. His fastest lap was a few laps ago, 79.5. His last lap was a 79.9. He's got 3 more laps to go after this one.
And we got a spun car. It is the car from Istanbul. Yeah, but I think it's driving again. The marshal should be careful there. But the driver stops, luckily. It's very good driving. and come back on track. So no problem for Istanbul. And I do believe that the car number 34 now is being pushed. I'm not quite sure whether they'll be able to restart.
I don't think so. This looks like a DNF for them, although let's wait for the final confirmation of that. Meanwhile, it also seems that my earlier prediction of Auburn overtaking McGill was a bit premature, as the second driver has significantly picked up speed for the Canadian car, now lapping around the 83 second mark. Auburn's still a bit faster, around the 80-second mark, but it will definitely take them a while before they're...
So it has just been confirmed that indeed the car from Ingolstadt, car number 34, in their last lap, half a lap away from home, unfortunately now has a DNF.
It looks like Auburn has now actually caught up to McGill, and McGill's been shown the blue flag, pulling over in the overtaking lane now, and Auburn now has a clear track ahead of him. Although actually they might catch up to the Istanbul team pretty soon.
The car from Jure starts its final lap. Just got to make it around one more time before they finish endurance. Wish them the best of luck.
Car 265 appears to have had a successful driver change. So Wiesbaden is about to be shown the green flag.
Yeah, and if you look at the average times, the team from Wiesbaden at the moment has the fastest average lap time. So they're doing very well at the moment. Let's see if they can keep up this speed.
Yep, Auburn right behind them. We're actually slightly faster, I think, by a tiny margin. But TU Berlin, Wiesbaden and Auburn are all very closely matched in the average time so far. The fastest car of the day so far that we have seen is the car from Gießen that has already finished.
And University of Jure has just taken the checkered flag and they finished their endurance run. Everybody give them a big round of applause. A great, consistent run for them. Great finish.
Entering the track now is the team from Monash, the only Australian team we have here this year. Very big wings, already are driving for several years with big wings, so expect fast lap times from them.
And Auburn now on their last lap as well.
As the team from Istanbul take the checkered flag, and they have finished their endurance as well.
Yes, very good performance by Istanbul. So approaching the starting line now is our Finnish team from Tampere. I'm looking forward to see whether the driver has enough driver motivation today.
As an answer to a question that was asked previously over the live stream, the guys from Belgium, car 22, are back in line. They missed their spot by quite a bit, but of course they had a large challenge in repairing a lot of their suspension and then getting through scrutineering again. So it's good to see him back in line as the team from TU Berlin pulls in for their driver change, car 303.
And just behind the team from Belgium, we've got car 296 from Manipal University, which people have been asking about in the live stream as well.
Yeah, meanwhile, the car from Monash from Melbourne really pulling in a fast first lap in an 82.66. It's one of the fastest first laps we have seen, apart from the Oxford Brooks car, which managed already in their first lap an 81.69.
And Auburn University has finished their run, so everybody give them a big round of applause for War Eagle.
Yeah, War Eagle.
Looks to be a car stopped on track, yellow flags being waved.
Yeah, I think it's the car from McGill, actually.
The officials seem to be pushing the McGill car off to the side of the track. Looks like it will be a DNF for them, unfortunately.
They were on their 15th lap, so quite a bit into the endurance already, but it looks pretty bad for them.
Yeah, so the team from Auburn actually is the second fastest team that has finished the endurance. The fastest team was the team from US Gießen.
Melbourne actually a little bit slower on their second lap. Of course, they were shown some yellow flags around the McGill situation. So only now can they really show what they can do in a free lap. Let's see if they can get below the 80-second mark, like some of the other teams so far.
Taking off now is a team from Lemgo, car number 398. The team from Lemgo has a safety guardian within the cockpit, and her name is Leah.
As Wiesbaden comes through, of course they too were hampered a little bit by the yellow flags from just now. So far their second driver wasn't quite up to speed with the first one, who was lapping consistently around the 81, 82 second mark. Last lap was an 87. Let's see if he can pick up speed a little bit more as TU Berlin rolls up to the starting line to resume their track.
And Tampere with a very quick lap time of 78.681. Wow. I believe that's the second fastest lap time we've seen all day, just behind Oxford Brooks' lap from earlier on in the event.
Oh, that's very impressive. Within a second of Oxford Brooks, and actually quite a bit faster than the Melbourne times so far. But of course, they only come through for their first flying lap now. So let's see if they can beat that. And it's an 82.25. So Tampere with some margin right now, the fastest car on track.
I see yellow flags waving. I cannot see exactly what is going on. I see some marshals approaching the car that's stalled over there, but it's back.
I believe that was actually the Tampere car that we were just talking about. Let's hope they can keep it going.
You didn't see what happened, but perhaps the driver was just pushing a little bit too hard and had a bit of a spin.
Yeah, either that or he pushed maybe the wrong button on the steering wheel, Austin.
Yeah, I can imagine that was a problem that could happen with them as well, but he's going now, so that's the important thing.
It's good to see the second driver of Wiesbaden picking up speed again. It's an 83.65.
And Tampere is right on the rear end of Berlin's car. Looks like they'll get the blue flag hopefully at the next opportunity.
Yeah, I have to say he's very close actually. Not quite sure whether that's really a smart thing, but it's good to have the other team getting the blue flag so Tampere can continue their laps again.
Of course, also absolutely no advantage should be gained by already being that close many corners before the overtaking lane. So
but then
anyway,
again,
he's free again.
Then again, it is a Finnish driver and they do drive always very fast here in Hockenheim.
Nonetheless, yes, his lap times so far were quite impressive. I believe we have the two fastest cars right now on the track right behind each other, Melbourne and Tampere.
Meanwhile, UAS Berlin approaches the starting line for their first run. Car number 300, UAS Berlin, has joined the track.
So where previously we had the UAS and TU of Dortmund together on the track, we now have two cars from Berlin. Let's see how they are matched. Berlin actually in their fastest lap on the first driver had an 81.2, so their fastest time was a bit faster than that of Melbourne so far. However, the second driver has not put on quite such a fast lap in his stint so far, but he was probably hampered by the Tampere car as well at some point. Let's see how his first free lap turns out.
I'm also quite curious. Tampere here is flying really at the far end.
Well, they're slowing down again.
Yeah, actually, while I was telling that, they are slowing down.
Very kindly pulling up the overtaking lane. That's a safe decision, but the car's got going. He got the car going again.
Yeah, very good driving from the Tampere driver. Getting out of the way for the safety. Very good, very professional.
Yeah, so the 86.8 is not at all representative of how fast the car is actually currently driving, but let's hope that the car can keep going until the at least the driver change.
Yeah, we saw the Tampere car here also with the small grandstand popping into the overtaking lane again. He got the green flag, but I think he thought maybe that it was a blue flag.
We received a question on the live stream a few minutes ago about why the Eindhoven car didn't take the start. I don't have an answer for you yet, but I can tell you the Eindhoven car has been pushed to the side of the queue. It's right next to the Belgian car. All the team members still look quite calm. Nobody's panicking, so hopefully it's an issue that can get sorted out shortly.
Yeah, so first in line now to enter the track is the car from Belgium. The electric car that yesterday in the autocross lost his left front wheel. They have fixed it overnight, and I'm very curious to see whether they are having a suspension that's very reliable in order to complete the endurance.
Meanwhile, the Wiesbaden driver has now pretty much matched the speed of the first driver, consistently turning out 82 second laps. As he is approaching the final stages of the endurance for them, only a couple laps left. Let's see how the speed of the TU Berlin driver is. With an 85.1, he is finding some extra seconds. UAS Berlin with their second lap, almost exactly the same time as the first one.
Yeah, and also TU Berlin again showing a very, very aggressive driving style and sliding all the way with the back end of the car. Really fun to watch.
The UAS from Berlin actually a little bit faster than the TU at the moment, although the fastest lap of TU is still faster than the fastest lap of UAS. Of course, UAS still has 16 laps left to beat that. Now in hot pursuit of the Monash car. They haven't quite been able to match the speed of their second lap, which was very fast, but I do think they're picking up some speed, and he just crosses the line in 79.02, which is actually pretty close to his fast lap so far, and also quite a bit quicker than the Melbourne car.
And the Melbourne car is given the blue flag, and Tampere gets past Monash.
So I can confirm now that the Belgium car is on. I can see the T-Sol burning, so I think they will be joining in on the track very soon.
Yeah, Wiesbaden takes out a cone as they are about to overtake the Lemgo car, which is being shown the blue flags.
Yeah, and also Wiesbaden will receive the last lap sign this round. So the last lap for the yellow and black car from Wiesbaden is coming up. Let's see if they can finish it.
Meanwhile, we seem to be missing the car from Montreal McGill.
Yeah, we saw them get pushed off by the marshals a few laps ago. You can see it just behind the crash barrier by the Formula Student Germany sign at the very back of the course.
Yeah, it's very hard to make out from here, but
So, what can the driver from Tampere do? Can they set the fastest time of the day? I think they missed it by 1 second approximately. So still the fastest time of the day is the Brooks team.
Yep, but apparently he has got the car going consistently now, and as he enters his final lap, it turns out another 78.9, very close to his fast 2 previous laps. Wiesbaden, meanwhile, in the very last couple of corners of their endurance, they've had a very smooth run, very consistent. A lot of 82s, 83s.
Yeah, they will surely finish it now. Yes,
across the
they
line
finished
with
the
a
endurance.
spectacular slide. Congratulations to Wiesbaden. Car 265 finished the endurance.
So meanwhile, the guardian angel from the team of Lemgo, Leia, seems to work very well as the Belgian team enters the track. Car number 22, the green car from Belgium, now joining in on the race.
Tampere is slowing down again, it looks.
So Monash coming in for the driver change.
Although slowing down is a bit harsh, but not quite on the pace that he was at a couple of laps ago. The Finnish car is now on its final lap before the driver change. And let's hope everything goes fine with the Australian car that is in pits right now.
You can see the Belgian car already approaching the back of Lemgo. Hopefully they'll get the blue flag at the next passing zone, which is after quite a few turns. The Belgian team now right on the tail of Lemgo.
Yeah, Lemgo now in the overtaking lane as Kyle Leuven speeds past. Looking quite quick. Of course, the first lap time will not be representative. It's a 94 seconds lap for them. I'm sure they can do quite a bit better than that in the next couple of laps. As Tampere comes in for their driver change with a very neat 80.38 second lap.
Lemgo is pulling into the pits as well. I'm not sure, is it for their driver change as well, or is there something wrong with the car?
I'm not sure because they are not supposed to be in pits lap yet. They finished 7 laps. Let's see what's going on there.
So up next in the queue, also for the people on the live stream, is car number 234 from, I believe, to be Chennai. So the people who asked whether they're already in the queue, yes they are, and they are at the front.
Yeah, from where I'm standing I can see the car 398 from Lemgo. Looks like the driver decided to enter the driver change area himself, and there appears to be something wrong with the right front suspension. And they have decided to stop the car, and they are unfortunately DNF. Meanwhile, the scrutineers are having a little look at the back of the car of Monash. Monash, of course, very successful in the Australian events. They've won the last 6 editions of that event. This is their 4th event for this car. They first took part in the Australian competition last December, then in the UK and in Austria as well, and now they are here in Germany.
The car from Belgium still going around. It finished its last lap and still going. Everything looks all right with them. Hopefully they have indeed got their issues from yesterday sorted out.
Yep, their most recent lap, of course, they're 89.33. It's quite a bit quicker than their previous lap already. Let's see if they can find a bit more speed still.
Yeah, and also some very spectacular driving from the team from Berlin.
I can imagine the team from Belgium electing to take it a little bit easy today, not stressing the car quite as hard as they might otherwise in an autocross lap or something. Of course, finishing is much more important than the best, speediest lap around the track if you can't finish. And they have found out yesterday the very hard way that maybe some of the suspension parts aren't quite up to spec.
So as we just heard from these scrutineers, the team from Lengo seems to have had a broken rim. So that was a choice of the driver to come in. It was a wise decision.
Meanwhile, Monash has been given the go-ahead after their pit stop, and they're ready to re-enter the track once they get the green flag. Looks like the officials are going to let the Belgian car pass before releasing Monash.
Yeah, also if you look at the lap times, Monash will, I think, overtake the Belgian team quite soon. Their pace is a little bit higher than the Belgian car at the moment.
We've got UAS Berlin getting the last lap board. I think that TU Berlin will get the checkered flag.
Yes, they completed the endurance. TU Berlin.
You got a massive cheer from the crowd.
Meanwhile, here at the green line is the car from Tampere again. So Finland back on track. And the guys from Berlin really cheering. They're very happy with the result. So the Belgian team really steadily improving their results. Yes, and again, it's more than a second off. So there's a really driver building up its pace.
So we'll have some very happy live stream viewers. The next car that's going to take the green flag is car 234 from Chennai. The next car after that in line is Augsburg. And then car 311 from Mumbai will also be taking the green flag.
Yeah, so the next 15 to 30 minutes, a lot of the live stream viewers will be getting what they were there for.
And Chennai does take the green flag. They're on course and they're underway. Tampere's first lap for the second driver is an 85.5, perhaps still getting up to speed.
Yeah, it's a bit more than 1 second slower than the first lap of their first driver. So this driver is taking it a little bit more cautious in the beginning.
Sorry to stop you, but it looks like the Belgian team has stopped on track just before the slalom section.
Yeah, so they're just behind the timekeeping bus for us. I see scrutineerings looking at the right rear of the car. Will this be again a suspension failure like we saw yesterday? It's difficult from my position to see, but we are in connection with the scrutineers, so we'll hear shortly.
It does look like they're being pushed off the track to out of the way. Looks like unfortunate news for the Belgian team.
Yeah, but I'm quite curious. I don't know if it is a suspension failure because the wheel is relatively in a stable
and
position.
there is a suspension failure for car 234. Spins out going through the horseshoe, and I can see the right rear wheel is pointed directly towards the back of the car.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for them. And I also believe that is the team from Chennai in China. No, India.
Yeah, car 234 with a very definite suspension failure.
Yeah, so the team from India, Chennai, unfortunately the right rear wheel coming off. Driver now exiting the vehicle. This will be a difficult one, I think, also for the marshals to take away because of this suspension failure.
Yeah, it is right in the racing line, and they'll need to pick up the back of the car with a dolly, and they're waving the other cars to the inside of the course.
Yeah, Monash was approaching the situation quite fast. I don't know if the driver actually saw the yellow flag or that it wasn't there. I'm not quite sure.
We've also just received word that unfortunately during the driver change, car 300 from UAS Berlin was leaking oil. So the marshals have not let that car go back out on track. An unfortunate retirement for them, but give them a round of applause for a hard-fought effort. Marshals have done a great job getting the Indian car off the track.
So approaching the starting line now is car number 10, the electric car from UAS Argusburg. And standing from close by, looking to it, this is a very neat looking car. I expect times to be beaten here. Monash slipping and sliding through the end section here. It's very good performance from them. The car's really being pushed to the limit, while Augsburg joins the track. So we're seeing somebody here from the officials taking here a meatball flag. I'm not quite sure for which car it is. Let's find out. So I do believe it's not for the Tampere car. They are allowed to continue. So probably another car maybe will be picked out. Let's find out later.
We can hear the car number 311 from Orion Racing in Mumbai firing up. Looks like it's being waved to the green flag.
Yeah, and a lot of cheers from the crowd. They have brought a large supporting crew, I believe.
It also looks that unfortunately, the car from Eindhoven, car number 40, is being wheeled away from the start of the event. Not sure if they're taking their car back to the pit to try and sort out some issues.
Sorry to interrupt, Austin. I do believe it's the Monash team who now received the meatball flag. I also think I may have heard some sort of a rattle there, so I'm quite curious to find out what is maybe possibly wrong with the car. So let's remember, a meatball flag does not indicate that there is something wrong, but the scrutineers do want to check it and double check it before they let the car back on track again.
And Mumbai Racing takes the green flag.
And I also see a lot of people on the live stream being very happy about that.
We've got a lot of people cheering in the grandstands as well. A lot of supporters here for Orion Racing Team.
And with the Eindhoven car being wheeled away, it looks like the queue for the endurance is now completely empty. I think that means that Mumbai will be the last team to start an endurance before the lunch break. I think in the distance we can see Augsburg slowing down.
Yeah, there are certainly yellow flags being waved. I can see a stationary rear wing behind the safety barrier, but that's about it.
The guys, meanwhile, Monash from car 266 will be very happy to see that their cars are being allowed to rejoin the track. Augsburg is moving again by the looks of it. They are, of course, only on their second lap. We just got word that the car from Belgium, the KU Leuven car, had trouble with their BMS, their battery management system. So it wasn't a suspension failure, luckily. Unfortunately, this error as well caused them not to be able to continue the endurance. The Eindhoven car, meanwhile, car 40, was unable to start. The high voltage system would turn on, but somehow the drive would not engage.
And Orion Racing getting a blue flag, letting Augsburg past.
Augsburg is back up to speed again, overtaking the Eindhoven car. But the Eindhoven car is still in the lead. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. Augsburg is back up to speed again, overtaking the Eindhoven car. the car as the Indian team finishes their first lap in 110 seconds.
Wow, I'm looking at the live stream now. I see a lot of people cheering for Orion. So Pratik Dada, Uday Kumar, Akash Joshi, we can see you. It's very good to see you cheering there. So maybe for the supporters that are here on side, and some other people who are cheering for you from a distance are Akash Joshi, Jay Trivedi, Aman Cheda, Kalash Explosive, I don't know if that's his real name, Pridarshan Panchal, and Kishan Takar, all cheering for you from the distance.
And everybody watching on the live stream, the supporters here are cheering for you, cheering for them as well.
Augsburg now looking pretty good, slipping and sliding through the second to last corner. The Indian team improving their previous time by quite a bit, about 20 seconds. They're now at a 90.96 second lap. Meanwhile, showing pretty steady pace. They only have 1.5 lap to go.
We've got a few more people cheering for Orion Racing on the live feed. We've got Uday Kumar from Ashwa Racing cheering you on for Orion. Yash Shah cheering go Rigel, go Orion. East or West, Rigel is the best. Ronak Patil says go Orion, as does Yash Shah again.
Yeah, the Indian guys definitely have the best online fans as Augsburg comes through in 84.26.
And we have James Ganderton showing that Oxford Brooks has quite possibly the best UK fans, giving them a shout out for overcoming the troubles early in the event, but still having such a fast lap time and finishing endurance. We also have some cheering from Monash University, from Flinders University Motorsport team, saying you're doing Australia proud.
Melbourne now entered their last lap.
Our feed is literally overrun with people cheering for Orion Racing. It's refreshing faster than I can read the names of everybody cheering. So you've really got some good fans, Orion.
Wow, big slide there from Augsburg.
And some of the Monash fans are now cheering as well. We're getting some... Yeah, we have Akash Joshi saying, do it, Monash.
So the car here from Augsburg has stopped in the overtaking area. Marshall's running there. Brake light is on. I cannot see whether the tail is on. But let's find out if they manage to restart it again. It's very good of the driver to get into the overtaking lane so the other cars can pass freely. So very professional driving there, I think. So taking the finish flag, the team from Monash, Australia. Very good to see them finishing after the meatball flag. Good performance from them.
They've got people online cheering for them. Mr. Jimmy Sphinx says, go Monash. Arnold de Jager says, go Thijs. You've got your own fan, Thijs.
Yeah, that's Arnold Tefal. He used to make nice TV reputations about 7 years ago in German, I can remember.
The jobless engineer has said Aussie, 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 and I think we're supposed to say oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, on a more serious note though, the car from Augsburg is now being pushed by marshals back into the dynamic area. So that's not a very good sign for them, unfortunately.
They were just about to start their 7th lap.
So Mumbai going steady, some slides here while he crosses the start line. A very good performance by the team from India. So this is actually quite some parade lap for the team from India. They have the track clear to themselves. So also, I think good for the live stream viewers. The only car that they're about to see is the Indian team, so they can see everything from afar.
Yep, 11.5 laps for them to go.
So while the Indian team is driving its laps, let's go back to the live stream again, because you got a lot of fans there. So very good. I see Monal Doshi, go Orion, go. Nidhi Mehta, doing good, Orion, so it's very good to see you all cheering. The car has stalled, but is back on again, so it's back on track. Very good performance by India.
Taking a cone with him for a bit.
Yeah, I think he's probably coned along with him. I'm not sure if it's still under the car, but hopefully it doesn't cause any. Oh, it's just in front of the right rear wheel.
It's the last out. So the reason the car from Mumbai is the only team driving left is that the endurance track, once Orion is done, is closed for a moment for lunch. And actually there is a cone in the side pod, I was just informed. Let me check whether it's still there. Can't see from here. Can you see with the binoculars, Mickey? Yeah, it's still in there. In which side is it, Mickey, left or right?
It's on the right side.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to see from a distance, but of course, being well prepared, Mickey brought his binoculars.
Could see a cone being thrown up. I'm not sure where it landed.
Yeah,
I think that was outside the box, unfortunately.
It's very nice to see the live stream viewers thinking along with the organization. I saw the hashtag Cone Eater Award, so let's see whether it also will be awarded by the officials then. So, as I'm informed, yeah, it's still there. It is still there. This must be the longest carried cone of the event we've seen so far. It's now at least one lap already.
Apparently that little fact is cause for celebration in the stands.
And the crowd going wild while the car passes the fence where the teams are.
We're also getting some questions about Manipal University on the live stream. We'll do our best to get you an answer on that, so just give us a few minutes and we can give you an answer.
So I do now see marshals running towards the Indian car. It's quite to see from a distance. I think the car has stalled. I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
They are currently on their 8th lap.
So I clearly hear the car running again. And it is back on track again to get 1 or 2 extra laps before the driver's change.
Yeah, 1.5 lap to go for them until driver change. Not going particularly fast anymore.
Yeah, it has slowed down, I do believe. Now at the sharp corner at the far end. Let's see whether he can pick up the pace again.
And the steady stream of comments from the online viewers keeps coming in. It's just too much for us to keep up with here. So thank you for all the support. Apologies for not giving all your personal shout-outs, but Orion Racing, trust us, everybody's cheering for you on here.
Yeah, it's very good to see. I think half India is watching this live stream at the moment. I hear the car revving, so it's not an engine problem. Maybe it's some drivetrain issue over there. I can't quite distinguish it. We'll take a closer look when it comes a little bit closer by. So the car stopped again. Marshall's approaching the car from India with a very, very good performance so far, but they seem to struggle a little bit in the last lap. So let's see if they are about to continue or not.
It looks like he's got the engine fired back up and he's moving again.
Let's see, though, if he can pick the pace up again. The last time he restarted, it was quite slow. Clearly hear the engine revving.
Yeah, they are still driving very slowly, coming to a halt and then picking up again. They were previously looking at times of 89 seconds, 90-something seconds. So let's hope they can pick up speed again.
Sounds like the engine is running all right. It's just not quite getting the power to the wheels.
It seems that the cone is still there, but I'm not quite sure whether that is the issue. I certainly don't believe so. It looks to me a bit like a drivetrain issue, because as Austin said, the engine sounds okay and is revving, so the engine is on, so let's wait and see what happens. So as Mickey with the binoculars has just spotted, the left front wheel seems to be a little bit slightly off camber. So let's see what happens.
Yep, the meatball flag is being pulled out and will be shown to the team.
Yeah, it's clearly the left front wheel that is a little bit loose. I'm not quite sure whether they are allowed to continue their run. It was wobbling a little, quite a little bit, so let's see.
Let's wait for the verdict of the scrutineers. Yeah, doesn't look good. Unfortunately, the left front wheel appears to not be, it's pretty compliant. Not at all stiff in camber, shall we say. And unfortunately, that is a DNF for them.
So not all stiff in camber means that it wobbles a little bit, so it's not quite tight on there. The driver, unfortunately, is now out of the car, so that will mean a unfortunate DNF for the team from Mumbai. A big cheer though to those guys. They've done a very good performance, and they were a bit unlucky today.
Yeah, they drove 7 nicely consistent laps. Good effort from them. Nice showing in the other events so far as well. That is it for now. We are now on lunch break, so that all the marshals and the other officials can also get some refreshments, and we should be back in about an hour.